Yo.
All right, cool. We're live.
Yeah, we good. You
All
got
right.
all the necessary platforms open and shit.
That's what I'm trying to make sure. I just have to
Okay.
switch that to public and make sure Rockfit is on. And then I know friend of the show, which I see out there in the chat, is sent us over something. So I just haven't had the time to look at it yet, Warren, but I definitely will. Running around like a crazy man, of course. Um, but okay, that's up. Cool. All right. So hello everybody. This is the Political Matrix. I am one of your two hosts, Marcus Young Morpheus Cage, here with my brother, Mr. Cy Lawson. How are we doing today, Chris?
What's good, man? Mark, it's good to see you as always, man. Everybody who came through, thanks for coming through. We appreciate it. And whoever's watching it later, we appreciate it too. As usual, nothing going on. We have a long weekend, thankfully. I'm sure you're off on Monday too. Here down in South Florida, it's been raining. It's still, it's raining even more now. So yeah, it's been a rainy day. It rained yesterday too. So it's just kind of been kind of lazy. I mean, I still ran outside, did what I had to do, but it's not the typical be outside weather like we were all hoping for. But it's all good.
I don't know. It's still nice and sunny out here, so I will be trying to get myself in shape more. So I'm head to the court after this. Get
Okay.
some work in. But that said, we got some interesting stories. Of course, we got presidential updates, which that thumbnail, I'm not even going to change it. So y'all can expect every week as this election gets closer and closer. We're just going to leave that in there because we know there's going to be plenty of presidential news that's going to be going on. This Israel Palestine Gaza, it's always going to be updates going on with that. So some shows is going to be a little bit more than others. Some shows is going to be some light stuff, and so just want to keep abreast of that. And then there's going to be a couple other topics that I want us to kind of there's some stuff that's going on in Africa that we're going to kind of just, even if it's like 5 minutes, we touch in and see what's going on in Africa or the Caribbean or whatever. So we're going to look forward to that going forward, that we will regularly kind of just touch on these subjects real quick. And then, of course, if there's something big or breaking in those areas, we'll already be ahead of the curve because we've been, staying on top of these stories that keep everybody updated.
And Marcus, to that point,
Yeah.
to that point, I would say, because a lot of us, and it's understandable, we tend to focus on a lot of European shit, what they're into, what they're up to, and but it stops at the continent. Like we're like, oh, this country's bad, or we dislike, like for instance, the French. We look at the French, we feel how you feel about them. They just had the Olympics. You think more of like wine and cheese and romance novels than you actually think of like a nasty ass colonial power. And when you start paying attention to the continent of Africa and their vassal states, and you see how screwed up it is there, you tend to look at the French and their government as you would the English, or or other countries, maybe Spain or Portugal, things like that, back, based on their colonial history. But the French are, you know, they foul too, and we could
Well,
get into that.
I think our audience is I think they're well abreast of them. I mean,
Oh
so
yeah,
of course,
our folks know that.
anybody coming in, but we're gonna make sure to hammer that message home that
Mm-hmm.
y'all keep in mind how fucking evil that they are, and they're just as evil as the rest of these European powers. And so,
Mm-hmm. You know what's, what part is wild too, is that all right when you realize that I've been subjugating you, like, manipulating you, stealing from you, mistreating you. When you notice it and you say, "Nah, we're not having this no more," I have the audacity to get upset with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Haitians are back there like, yeah, tell me about it.
I know, right? They have the
Uh,
audacity to still continue to come at you. So that's something worth watching as we,
oh,
further discuss that.
and then this story, there's this story that came out of Pakistan. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about it, and I'll share a little bit of the recording. We're not going to share the whole thing because it's like
Yeah,
20
it's a
minutes
minute.
long.
Yeah.
But we will talk about that a little bit more. And then I got a couple other stories that I'll throw out there. But shout out. I see Newest is in there. I see Warren's in the building, the game.film. What's up, y'all? And shout out to Free Thinker 59. He says Steve said on Slow News Day today, Marcus will be a guest on AM Wake Up tomorrow. Look for it. That's right. I will be there bright and early. AM Wake Up tomorrow. So for our friends and family over there who frequent it, and if you're not, you probably should. I recommend definitely check it out. I'll be over there with the fellas. So looking forward to that. It's always a fun time over there. And then also I have I will be on with Sabby Thursday for a panel that she has set up. So that's a
That's what's
couple
up.
of appearances that I have. And then, anybody out there, if y'all can, make sure y'all subscribe to us. Even if you don't watch all our videos or agree with everything, just subscribe. Let us get to that 1,000. That's kind of my goal. If I can see that 1,000, I'll just be happy and be good. But I mean, we ain't trying to be the big star. We don't need 1 million subscribers. I mean, I'll take it. I will take it.
I just like
but,
getting,
mm-hmm.
I mean, not to say I don't care, but I just like getting my shit off, and whoever is with it is with it. If not, you disagree, that's cool. But that's what this internet is for. There's a lot of lanes on this highway, so wherever we got our own. So it is
Well, I
what
feel
it is.
like for doing it as long as we have, it'd be just nice to just hit that milestone. That's all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I don't think people realize the amount of content creators who hit 1,000. Just to hit 1,000, it puts you in like the top 10% of content creators already hitting 1,000. I know you guys see plenty of people who are at 1,000, but just to reach 1,000 is tough enough. And reaching like 10,000 or higher, that's putting you in like the top 5%. So anybody you see who are 50,000 and up, they're getting into the top 2-3%. So I just want to, us to get at least just let us touch that 1,000, because I see a lot of content creators who ain't to the level that we are, especially with content, entertainment, and information and education, who are there. So just get us there. I got faith in y'all. But
well, it helps. You know, anyway, yeah. What Marcus said. What Marcus said. Yo, let me see, Eddie.
Let me. Oh, was that?
No, go ahead. No, go.
I want to hit this one story for you because it is wild. Atra sent it to me, and I was like, "That can't be real." It is real. It is real. It says, no, I don't need updates from you. It says orbital. Sorry, can't talk right now. Sells sunlight at night, but don't trust the fancy video. So the video they show is this one where they're literally showing you like, boom, anywhere you need it, it's just going to be on demand and so simple, easy. It's not necessarily to that level yet, but that's their goal of what's in the video. If you guys haven't seen the video, you can look them up. They're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, or if you follow me on Instagram, I can always send you over the video if you want to see it. It says turning night into day is something big meteors can do, but it might be one day become as easy as firing up an app and tapping a spot on the map. Reflect Orbital is a California-based startup that aims to sell sunlight and energy after the sun has set. They're doing it by sending a big mirror into space aboard a satellite that's able to point said mirror in such a way to reflect the sunlight onto a precise location on Earth. The startup isn't new. The company's founder and CEO, Ben Nowak, introduced it in April this year during the International Conference of Energy from Space Conference. We want to make it as easy as possible, like log into a website, tell us your GPS coordinates, and we will get you some sunlight after dark, he said at the time. So that's just a little bit of the story. What's your thoughts on that, Chris?
I saw that headline online, probably on Twitter, maybe on the gram, and I kind of skipped by it. I mean, I looked into it a little bit, but I just thought the idea was overall just kind of stupid to begin with. And two, I knew they was beating people in the head just collecting money for their R&D for whatever they're really trying to work on, because this just seems really, I mean, how's it supposed to work? So it's late at night. You're supposed to order the sunlight. Now you're in what's the word? You're in a community. So you're supposed to just shine. Wait, the sunshine only going to just hit your own, like the rays only going to light up your house? Like it's not going to light up the block, right?
I mean, I guess it'll probably be big enough that it's going to have some overlap on the other people's areas too. I mean, So from how I'm gathering, just in theory, how big it would have to be to even just target it to an area, it probably would light up like maybe light going to that like whole block, maybe. That's what I would imagine, but I don't know how well it's going to be and if it's going to really light it up like sunlight or just give it a little bit of light, kind of like how you have like a late sunset where some places it's like 8:30 and the sun is kind of partially down, but you still have some light.
Mm-hmm. I don't see the use for this nor the reason for it, especially not in an American city where it's lit up for the most part. There's street lights everywhere. I didn't see the point in it, but I won't be surprised when they come to find out they've been beating people in the head.
I mean, you're gonna have somebody you're gonna have rich people who are gonna want to do it just to say they did it.
Speaking of rich people, just saying they did, and then tied with Jonina's comment about that testing the higher power, right?
Mm-hmm.
That millionaire dude is going back into space, right, with like 3 other people. Right, I can't remember his name. I'll look it up real quick, but I wanted to bring this up because I saw another story in addition to, because space has been getting a reference a few times lately because then people are stuck on the space station or they're stuck in the shuttle or something.
Yes,
and they need Elon to go save their ass now. And what was the other thing? This with the sunlight, and the other thing is they're talking about sending people to see if they could they're going to approach the radiation belt. Did you see that story?
No, I didn't see that story.
Yeah,
that's pretty interesting.
That's what I said because they're like, oh, it's never been done before, and basically they said in order to pass it, you would need to be in cement blocks, and then you look up the vehicle that was used to touch down on the
man.
That went where, and it's just like, oh, okay, so you're just now testing this. You don't have any data from when you did this prior, or is there a hole in the belt that they managed to get through? Like Double Dutch, Marcus. Like there's a good time, you wait, and then you the girls jump in and they start doing their 1-2. Is that what the belt is like? And they just happen.
It's like Jackie Chan running and like jumping through a window.
Yeah, or is it like a running back hitting that hole in the off tackle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
I mean, I guess so. Because
maybe the lineman did his job and moved the defender, the D lineman out the way, and he just went between that 4 and 5 gap and was out.
I mean, shout out to Wheezy, What Is Truth, but he's done like a couple of videos, and they've just been kind of like an ongoing thing talking about this. I know that I did my interview with Bart Sibrel, and we talked about this also. But I mean, I don't get how somebody just got to explain it to me, like I'm 5 years old, exactly how they got to the moon, because it's just too many inconsistencies in this story for me. We already know you can't pass the Van Allen belt. So what they started saying after that is like, no, that they didn't pass the Van Allen belt, that the moon is actually on the other side of the Van Allen belt, that they didn't have to pass through the radiation. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. That's not what y'all said before. Actually, what they said in the 70s, because it was 69 when they supposedly went. In the 70s, there was like, what Van Allen belt? They didn't know nothing about this belt. And then they got up there and, oh yeah, but what it is actually the moon is actually within our orbit. And I'm like, wait a minute, so you're telling me that it's not as far away as you said it was? Well, that's kind of sounding like you're touching into the flat earthers territory, saying that the moon and the sun ain't as far away as was said. I'm like, and y'all opening up a whole bunch of stuff. I honestly want to see Warren bring back his show where he talks about all these different anomalies and stuff. Great show, by the way.
Warren, what's up, man?
He talking about they couldn't get past the Van Halen belt. I know he was up there hitting them riffs on them. He was hitting them with guitar riffs. They couldn't get by him. But
so it's just one of those things that was very interesting. It's like, oh, now in the 21st century, 2024, now you're going to divert resources to go study that, when I thought we had, or one would have assumed that we already mastered it, and we got past the research part of it. We're at the it doesn't matter to us part anymore. We've we could pass it at will. It's not an issue. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up real quick. Let me see. Was there anything else quickly that I saw that was worth mentioning? I don't know. A bunch of stupid stuff. Hey, did you see that that video on the gram, by the way, talking about stupid stuff? The lady with the owls, night owl.
That sounds familiar. Oh Lord, is that the one I'm thinking of? Oh wow, yeah, I seen that one.
That had me stuck for like a half hour. I was dying laughing, kid. Dying laughing.
And shout out to Free Thinker over there. It's like, oh, I think you're telling on yourself a little, said, because I said I said he, and Free Thinkers is a she. Said no apology necessary, Marcus. How would you know, hun? I'm like, oh, that's a telltale. It's a certain demographic age group of woman who says hun. Am I right or wrong, Chris?
No comment. We can move to the next topic.
I'm just teasing. I'm teasing Free Thinker. But yeah, they were shouting out. Yeah, Wheezy did do some good work on that. And I brought up I'm like, so how fast does a space shuttle travel? And so
probably faster than the speed of light and sound combined, faster than the Flash.
Mm-hmm. So this thing is traveling at what? Thousands of miles an hour? And you telling me this thing is rotating like this with something rotating around it, which is spinning also, and you managed to somehow swing this thing, which has aluminum foil all over it, and it made it all the way to the moon with aluminum foil on it?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of aluminum foil are they using, man?
Oh, they use the Reynolds non-stick, kid. Don't you know that shit could withstand everything, dog? With a little. No, you know what? They used they made the outer part of the aluminum with cockroach skin, because that's able to withstand everything.
They just spray painted that shit gold.
Yeah, no, they just they drain the.
They're like, no, it's
I don't know.
actually
Because, that's the only thing that.
skeleton.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I'm like, man, you know what? There is that movie still coming out about the moon. So,
the one with
well, what
yeah.
they do is it goes into the story which Bart Sibrel had brought up. He had the interview with the guy whose father worked at the military base, and on his deathbed, he claimed that it was what happened. And this movie they're doing is almost exactly like the story that was passed down to that guy on his father from his father on his deathbed. And so it's kind of interesting. His father on his deathbed told him the story, and then he was telling the story like right before he was about to die. To Bart, and he recorded it. So it's interesting. Chamonix is in the building. What's up? Good to see you. The Apollo 17 mission in 1975, the secret one. Man, I don't. This will start us down a rabbit hole. So I mean, let's go ahead and move us on.
Yeah.
Because I can go on and on about this NASA bull, but
yeah, because there's a lot of inconsistencies, and when you just start to look at just the enormous amount of funding they've received over the decades, you just have to wonder,
And I see Denver is in the building, our buddy over there on the Rockfin side. What's up, Denver? Good to see you as always.
Yes, sir.
Oh, shoot. Denver talking about he got some ribs that he smoked all day yesterday. That's what I'm talking about.
Nice. That
sounded
good.
Really good. But I probably can't even have them. They probably pork ribs. But it does sound good to talk about them. And I can still walk by and smell them. Anyway, right. I wanted to hit this one story, get this out of the way real quick. Man, I don't know if you saw this yet, but it's and it's kind of a story that just kind of flew under the radar. I don't think anybody's much talking about it, but I want to talk about it because I think it definitely will impact the communities of our listeners the most. What the heck?
What you got?
Close that out. It says police officers get off my screen, woman. Said police officers are starting to use AI chatbots to write crime reports. Will they hold up in court? So scroll down a little bit. Says a body camera captured every word and Bart uttered as Police Sergeant Matt Gilmore and his canine dog Gunner searched for a group of suspects for nearly an hour. Normally, the Oklahoma City police sergeant would grab his laptop and spend another 30 to 45 minutes writing up a report about the search. But this time, he had artificial intelligence write the first draft. Pulling from all of the sound and radio chatter picked up by the microphone attached to Gilmore's body cam, the AI tool churned out a report in 8 seconds. It was a better report than I could have ever written, and it was 100% correct. It flowed better, Gilmore said. It even documented a fact he didn't remember hearing. Another officer mentioned of the color of the car the suspects ran from. Oklahoma City's police department is one of handful to experience with AI chatbots to produce the first drafts of incident reports. Police officers who have tried it are enthused about the time-saving technology, while some prosecutors, police watchdogs, and legal scholars have concerns about how it could alter fundamental documents and the criminal justice system that plays a role in who gets prosecuted or imprisoned. So that's the first part. What is your thoughts on that?
Oh, that should. All of it sounds bad, dog.
That's what I'm saying. That's all of it.
All of it sounds bad, bro. all of it. It's funny. I was just talking about. I mean, sorry to step away from the story itself a little bit, but I was just discussing Chat GPT with some friends and people I work with. It is amazing how much people are relying on it. For those who don't use it, I don't think they really understand just how much um, what they will, what they read, what they hear, what they see as a result of what someone entered into Chat GPT and the other systems that do what it does. Just be very mindful about thinking that people are smart because they really are. They're just
Yeah.
typing shit into a machine, having the machine spit out some wordplay for them, and then they get on the camera and they sound really, really good. Be very mindful of that. I see it in all walks of life. If you're not familiar with it, do yourself a favor, get familiar with it. It is the wave of the future. It is what people will be on. Maybe our generation looks at it and says, "Oh man, I have my doubts, my reservations. I don't necessarily want to get involved in that." But hey, you know what? If you were complaining about tapes when CDs were on the rise, like you got left behind. So at least get yourself familiar with it. So when you come across these things, you have somewhat of an idea and how to operate these things, because your kids and your grandkids will definitely be making the most of this technology, good or bad.
I honestly, one angle I was thinking about it, it's gonna cut. I mean, if it gets, because okay, he said first draft, so he's still gonna be able to go and clean it up, and then you know decide what he wants to change on it. But
Mm-hmm.
what I see is if it gets to a point where it gets past that beta test level, um, and they actually write a bill where they're admissible into court, and maybe and hopefully they're able to save that rough draft, also that first draft, and the alterations, and that could all be admissible in court because I think it could cut negatively against police officers too, because some of them who will try to say certain things in their report that did not happen, or try to omit certain details. I think that can come back to haunt some of them. They're like, I told the suspect this before I start cranking their arm and broke it. Well, if it goes back in that report, and while you're yelling whatever you're yelling, you didn't hear them saying, I'm trying to go down, but I have a bad knee or something like that. Or I just had surgery, like a video I just watched earlier. It could set some of these police officers up to actually get in more trouble down the road. So I'm like, that could cut ways to actually help some of the people, which are interacting with police. But at the same time, it all depends on how this stuff is done. Also, knowing that the biasness of the people who are putting the system together are biased towards police officers. So some of the biases that could be written into the program could cut back in a negative way against the citizens. So I don't know. I just think it's something interesting. I mean, any of this AI stuff, I always want to keep my eyes on it, especially like if Trump gets in office, which we'll talk about later on. It's a lot of stuff he wants to do with biometrics and facial recognition and stuff. So that's a whole nother topic, which we'll get into. Um, but what's up? What's up, Hamza? Hamza's in the building. Um,
Hamza, what's good?
Chamonique asked, have you guys talked about the bill in California they are trying to push through to give mortgages to illegals? Actually, I got a story that I want to talk to, and then it's going to lead into that one right after. So, here, let me go ahead and hop to that story because we're trying to make sure to keep ourselves on pace. This show not go too long, but where'd it go? Here we go. And I heard something. A couple of other states are trying to do something about this also. But California legislatures passed just one part of reparations legislation.
Say that one more
Michaela,
time, Marcus.
sure. California lawmakers passed just one part of the reparations legislation. Um,
One part. Okay, this should be interesting.
yes, by Michaela Mascufo. Um,
It must be the
California,
study of the study.
you got it. California lawmakers just passed one part of a three-bill package addressing reparations for slavery and racism in the waning days of their state house session. Amid reports the governor had raised concerns, dozens of demonstrators arrived to support the measures proposed by Senator Stephen Bradford late Saturday. The last day of the state assembly session, the bills were moved to the inactive file shortly before the session ended. Earlier this week, a bill on land restitution that is part of the package passed 56 to nothing. It was unclear how this measure could be implemented without the other two, one creating a fund and a third an agency to determine matters such as who will be eligible for reparations, which this land restitution is a big part of it, because for people who don't know, there was a lot of black people all the way up until like the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whose land was basically stolen by the state or by wealthy developers. And that's going to be factored in. So all of it is not directly only dealing with slavery. Some of this is dealing with Jim Crow, and on into like the 50s and 60s, possibly even the 70s, some of this stuff. Let's see, the Sacramento Bee quoted sources as saying that Governor Gavin Newsom administration proposed dropping the implementing agency, but setting aside $6 million for university research to study reparations and recommend a way to determine eligibility. The change would have removed the substance of what we were trying to do, Bradford, a Democrat, told Reuters. Adding that the administration had expressed fiscal concerns. Newsom, a Democrat who expressed support for the reparations legislation broadly in July, set aside $12 million for reparations initiatives. A recent government analysis projected the cost of the agency Bradford proposed to be between $3 million and $5 million. Newsom's office would not comment. And of course, you guys can read more into this, but what do you think, sir?
On some level, it's progress, right? I guess they set aside maybe like 21 million to study even more studies on reparations. So, we need to study the studies of reparations so we can understand the eligibility of those who deserve reparations. Even though we already know who deserves reparations, we know it should have happened. It shouldn't be something that they're playing with in 2024, yet here we are. They're playing with people. Again, this is what they do to their base of supporters. When I say they, I mean the Democratic Party. This is how they play with the emotions of their Black constituents, specifically their Black American constituents on one hand. This is also a way to generate excitement on the people on the other side of this, which will be, which you could call the other side the Rainbow Coalition, if you will, because you'll find every group come out to say, hey, well, no, we can't, we shouldn't, this is not right, but what about and everyone was a slave. You need to look up the word Slav and find out that, let me just stop all y'all right there. But like I said,
I wasn't here. My family just immigrated. We weren't here during that time. So why do I have
to pay? Correct. So you'll hear the usual complaints from the other side of this argument. However, if California truly wanted to do if they truly wanted to put money in the pockets of those the affected group, if you will, they could have easily done that. They could have been collecting the data and information a long time ago. They could have, instead of doing the study, they should have been collecting the information, or they should have had a application system, if you will, to provide, they should have collected that information so then they could turn around and do what's needed. So again, as usual, they're playing with people. And again, this is all political. This is to help bring you back to the polls in hopes that if you continue voting for them, that they'll continue to, that one day they'll possibly address this and hand out the checks. But we know they won't. We know these are just, just a political tactic that they use. And it's not ironic that this information comes out 2 months short of the election.
That's what the biggest, most important thing you said right there. This is all an election tactic so that they can boost voters. They already have all the information they need. This has been studied over and over and over. This is a way to say no without saying no. Oh, well, we just need more info, and we will study it, and we'll look more into it, and that's all they're doing. It's a stall tactic. They have no intentions of actually passing this. And if you think about it, California would be one of the easiest states to handle reparations, because out of the larger states or states with high populations, it probably has one of the lowest Black populations. And so you factor in that Black population and you split that down to people that would be freedmen or foundational Black Americans or any of those different terms.
I would say the percentage of them would be high.
The percentage actually, but you have so many people who are of African descent and Caribbean descent who would not
California.
Qualify. Yeah, in California. Just a hodgepodge. You got a lot of Nigerians out here, for instance.
Okay.
You have a lot of people who are West African descent who maybe have only been in the country, maybe a generation or two. And so a lot of the foundational Black American population that's in California is actually fled to like Nevada and Arizona and all these other states because of the cost of living is so high out here. So as it's pushed more people out, and a lot of Black people, and it's kind of funny, I was just watching a video where Savvy is talking about this, which is going to tie into the next subject, California. A lot of them have fled because of not able to be able to afford to buy a house out here and how expensive it's gotten. And so while Black people have been asking for how can we get more affordable housing instead of just renting and things like that, how can we get more systems that can affect the population here who is struggling? And as those numbers have decreased of Black people in a lot of these areas, the Hispanic population has increased in those areas. And the Black representatives have also fell to the wayside. And so you have a lot more people who are in office who are less likely to pass this. Now, I'm not saying that having a Hispanic representative is a guaranteed no to reparations. But there are plenty who are not sympathetic to that need, especially when they feel like, well, we just got here. And I'm not saying all, because California has always had a heavy Hispanic population because the border moved on them. So plenty of people were here already for a long time. But you do have a lot of people who are maybe first and second and third generation who are I would say at best it's 50-50. Some people are like, hell no, I'm not for that reparations. I shouldn't have to pay it. It was hard where I came from and yada, yada, yada. And then you have other people who are like, it's warranted. So that's a battle that you're having out here. And when the Black population, even counting all people who would just, all people of any kind of African descent, whether you are directly coming from like Cameroon or something to the States, or your family has been here since the 1700s, that population as a total is probably somewhere around 10 to 11% of those who would probably be eligible for reparations falls down to probably around 7%. So it's not a lot of like political fight or what's the word I'm trying to say? Leverage. Not a lot of political leverage coming out of the Black community out here.
Given the fact of what you said, whenever you remove the black immigrants from the discussion in terms of population, like you said, so let's just say 7%. The fact that the government has not even taken care of that 7%, it, it's one of those things that speaks very loudly, because you're not the ones who are calling in owed reparations, their numbers are a lot smaller, and the fact that the government still has not addressed them, and even while spending money anywhere and everywhere else, it just really goes to show that the system that you exist in has no desire to see you improve. So you would definitely need to focus on yourselves, as opposed to continuing to ask this system to provide you with any kind of redress.
Yeah, I put this one on the screen because there's a lot of truth in what La Senora Chamanique says here. It says Asians run California. Now, when I said this on Sabby's chat, everyone gained up on me, including Eric, her moderator. Honestly, when you get to the Bay Area is dominated by the Asian community. That's just a fact. Period. Now,
That is a fact. They're the largest. Yeah. They are the most dominant, group over there, right?
Yeah.
Just like if I said Flushing, Queens is dominated by Asians, that's not it's not a derogatory statement. It's just a factual one.
And what I would say is, even though you can say that the Hispanic population may be higher overall in the state, and maybe the highest population group, the Asian population in California, the amount of wealth that they have and control in this state gives them a lot more power. And so I think that has to always be factored in. Sometimes it's not always about the numbers. Sometimes it's about your leveraging your power, and there is a lot of leverage. And I would say that that's not isolated to the Bay Area. There's a lot of Asian sway in LA area.
Did I lose Marcus, or was that me? Did Marcus freeze y'all, or did I get kicked out? Let me know which one, because I'm not entirely sure. Damn, he got stopped at a funny spot. Let me remove him from there, because he looked kind of crazy in that pose. We don't want nobody to capture that one. I'm pretty sure he'll he'll get back with us as soon as he can. But I did want to I did want to step into the California matter regarding housing, because that was something that who brought up. I can't remember. Somebody in the chat had brought it up before the show started. Marcus and myself were actually discussing that. That's actually what made us a little bit later, because we was kind of going back and forth, discussing it, and what did I want to bring up? I just had it up on the screen. Where'd it go? Oh, real quick too, I wanted to touch on, I just did a search, before Marcus before he became frozen. I was doing a search, right, regarding California real estate. And the AI overview, that's another thing you got to take note of too. You notice when you do a search now, it gives you an AI overview first, and then, well, at least on Google, it gives you that AI overview, and then it gives you the links to wherever the top responses are. That was something that I've noticed over the last several weeks. I don't know if I would say months, but for sure weeks. Anyway, they were saying for 2024, I was looking up the stats, right? The median home price in California in 2024 is around $860,000. I don't know what the salaries are like in California, but that's a lot. And if that is the median price, I mean, I can only imagine there's probably nothing you can get for like $350,000 or even $400,000 that's probably not a box and or a trailer of some sort. The housing is crazy out there just looking at these numbers. They were expecting single family homes to increase for this year. I don't know the stats yet because obviously we have not hit the end of the year yet. But I just wanted to just quickly look at what the housing situation was looking like in the state of California compared to other states. But anyway, this is the text. I thought I heard Marcus coming in. This is the text of the bill that everyone is discussing. Home, Marcus, you back? Did he freeze again backstage? Yeah, it looks like he did. So I won't put him on the screen now because it looks like he froze again. And let me go to this bill because again I thought it was very interesting, and I wish it was a little clearer on you guys' screen. I hope it is. Anyway, Bill 1840, Home Purchase Assistance Program eligibility. Right, I'll just highlight the sections I would like to read. Or matter of fact, what this does, the existing law establishes the California Housing Finance Agency in the Department of Housing and Community Development. It authorizes them to make loans. Okay, so they aren't necessarily giving money away, they're making loans. What I would like to know is who will be guaranteeing these loans. Because what if you give out these loans, if somebody doesn't pay, who's guaranteeing this? Is it the state of California? Is it the federal government? It'd be very interesting to figure out how that will work. Who will collect? Where did the payments go? Now, is this a situation where the state will make the loans and then they'll subcontract out the collections part of it? I don't know. So already to me, it just seems a little funny money right there. But anyway, it says to agency to, among other things, make loans to finance affordable housing, including residential structures, housing developments, multifamily rental housing, special needs housing, and other forms of housing as specified. Again, this looks like they're going to put people anywhere they can. Existing law requires the agency to administer a home purchase assistance program for the purpose of assisting low and moderate income home buyers to qualify for the purchase of owner-occupied homes as specified. Existing law establishes the Home Purchase Assistance Fund, which is continuously appropriated for expenditure pursuant to the program and defraying admin costs for the agency. Blah, blah, blah. Let me see. Let's go down. The section that clearly is, making the rounds is this one here. And it says an applicant who meets the requirements for a loan under the Home Purchase Assistance Program, including blah, 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 shall not be disqualified by the agency solely based on the applicant's immigration status. So we would need more details on that, but clearly that last little bit that references the immigrants, their status is kind of I could see why it's going to make people feel away, and I understand why. Even if you agree with their plight, you disagree with their plight and things like that, I can understand why the people on the ground in these particular states and situations would feel away, especially if they themselves have applied for some sort of assistance and have been denied on the basis that they probably make too much money, right? Not that they're not working or have no income, but that they are working, doing their best, and they're told like, hey, you make a few thousand over the threshold, so sorry, there's nothing we could do for you. And even at that level above that particular threshold, you're still kind of struggling, and some assistance would be beneficial, not just to you individually, but your family and the community at large. And the government they won't step in at that point to assist you, but all these other people who are just here, you're going to say, well, we'll give you a little bit. I could see why people would feel away, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and Chris did a great job. He didn't pop back in. He did a great job of like breaking it down and hitting the nuance. It's not that they're just flat out giving money to undocumented. This is a program that was set up for years
to help people who meet these eligibility requirements. What they've done is they made an addition where now they've allowed for undocumented to be in there. Now I can see how people can say, well, they shouldn't even do that much. I would argue that there's too much of a housing issue in California already for citizens that it's not being addressed. You just had not too long ago how we talked about Gavin Newsom is wanting to sweep the homeless people off the streets and not figure that situation out in a better means. And yet, this is what you guys are focusing on. And I'm not saying that even down the road, you didn't focus on this, but you got a lot
California, Marcus. Real quick, California is going to be cleaned in about 2.5 years anyway. It's going to be totally cleaned up, especially Los Angeles. Not California as a state, but especially Los Angeles. That'll be cleaned up.
Why do you say
and
that?
The surrounding areas. Oh, the Olympics are coming, kid. They're kicking everybody out.
Oh, you're talking about temporarily clean. Oh, okay.
Yeah. They're gonna have it looking like DC near the Capitol. You know how clean it is when you go down there. Like, you notice outside of DC, it looks like a lived-in city, but then when you're near the Capitol and stuff like that, it's like extra crisp. You know, that's how they're gonna have LA looking for a little bit, and then after that, they'll come back.
Well, it'll be certain areas that they'll make sure to hide from the camera. They still,
of course, yeah. They'll push them to different cities, different counties, you know, but they'll clean up a lot of it. No, not all of LA, but they'll clean up a lot of it. They do this everywhere, whether it was Brazil for the World Cup, whether it was France, like we just saw a little bit for the Olympics. You know, anytime they have these things, they tend to clear it out. As I said, my own experience being in Tampa with the RNC, I saw how they just took the broom out to the homeless in Tampa, and they got rid of them people. I saw that comment, Marcus.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, they owned by somebody. They definitely owned by somebody from the north to the south to the fucking tip, also. So all
what's kind of yeah, it's true, but it's split. From what I've heard from Asians is they don't like Florida because I never heard that before.
I think what they wouldn't like is because they're not gonna have their way down there. They're not having their way in Florida. That's not gonna happen. And to answer Hamza what he said before, the reason why nobody talks about the whole citizenship thing, money being paid for, is because I don't think a lot of people know about that does happen. And it's not only Chinese citizens. It is definitely wealthy Indians also and wealthy Koreans who are benefiting from that. Yes. That's kind of what was alluded to in that movie. What was it, like Crazy Filthy Rich Asians or something like that?
Oh, something like that. Yeah. You know, to that point, the immigrants who come here with money and don't rely on any government assistance of any kind, even to Hamza's point, talking about purchasing American citizenship, a lot of the reason why you don't hear much about it is because they paying. So they not, they're already going into a built-in infrastructure for themselves. They're not the ones you typically would see on the street corner or at the welfare office, even though some of them are. I'm not saying that they're all straight. Some of them are, but a lot of them get brought into a situation and they straight. Now you have the underworld of that too. Like like I said, we got videos in Queens, New York, like not too far from where I'm from, where there's a whole bunch of Asians on the street, and they up to the world's oldest profession right now, big time. Heavy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. We talked about that last week. Yeah. Shout out to Leonard Trust Fund. It's in the building. I want to share this comment. He says the city of Chicago is an example, or LBJ and the federal government who seized and razed all the black houses along the west side of Chicago after the King riots to build project country where land was seized, we'll say. But I think that Yeah, well, we were talking about like how it'll be cleaned up and all that. It'll be cleaned up in downtown LA and
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the areas that they're gonna focus on.
And
Maybe Santa
and also,
Monica will get cleaned up, but
some of the
all the
areas
rest of the
where,
areas, mm-hmm.
well, I was going to say any of the areas where they will have the events. So whatever
Mm-hmm.
stadiums or arenas in the surrounding area that they will use, those areas will be very, very clean, and it'll look like, goddamn, like they changed the curtains in here. They painted the yellow lines in the street will be more yellow. Like it'll look like, it'll look. You'd be like, damn, it's all right down here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
that's
that's
what I'm
crazy
saying.
that they do it for
All the
those
cameras
events.
shot.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
Long Beach is well, it's a certain area. And Long Beach is getting cleaned up anyway because it's been dominated by a certain group who is known for their organization and decoration,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
they're coming in with a lot of money too. They're coming in with a lot of money and raising the value. So it's getting difficult to be able to really find a place to stay. And it's going to be more people who are moving way out and driving much longer distances. We're going to talk about it's going to be normal for people to drive 2 hours to work back and forth.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, going back to that, before we can wrap up, just that quick thing about the bill in California. Again, I think to me the interesting part is going to figure out who is guaranteeing this loan, and where they're going to continue raising money from. I know California already had some sort of mechanism in place to capture funds and to fund the program, but to the extent that they're going to be giving out loans, it seems as if this program is going to be expanding based on the amount of people who will be coming to apply. And again, this just probably doesn't extend to California. It will probably be a couple of other states in which this happens as well. The money's going to be coming from the feds, even if they don't say it. And that means all of us will be paying it, not just the citizens in those particular states and cities.
Sorry.
Because look, didn't Abbott just send more immigrants to Kamala Harris's house the other day? Didn't he do that again? I know they was doing those junkie stunts before, but I think he just recently did it, right?
He might have done that. I hadn't heard.
Yeah. Given, again, if these people were very serious, you would just keep them maybe, you would just keep them on the border, put them back, let them cross the border, let them try to get back in. But again, as I've said on this program repeatedly, they continue to disperse these people throughout the United States. And then the Republicans and conservatives then sit there and complain about Democrat cities, Democrat governors, Democrat legislatures, ironically, without even mentioning that it is your quote Republican governors and legislatures that are funding these moves. They sending these people to these states. Of course, the people are going to disperse from wherever wherever their first stop is.
Yeah, you send them to that state, to that city, and then complain about them in that city.
Yeah. Yeah, you say, look at New York. New York is a shithole. It's horrible. It's dangerous. Well, how many of those people did you send there, Mr. Abbott, Mr. DeSantis, and all of your supporters? I mean, was this smart? Because now you're crying about New York, but your guy is helping get making these cities look the way they do. So again, you sitting there spilling tears about what the Democratic Party is doing. Your people are in cahoots too. I wish people would stop with the partisanship. I mean, I thought we got over this, or we were supposed to have gotten over the silly partisan politics long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, very easily the blue states can be like, you know what? Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, West Virginia, and a whole bunch of other states, Carolinas, you know what? We're going to stop sending you guys the funding that we're sending you. And we're just going to take care of our own states. because New York and California could very easily do that.
Or they could
and-
ship them, or they
and
could
leave-
ship them to the red states, or they could flood the red states because they're the ones with the space and infrastructure for it, compared to like a New York, right?
That's true.
Compared to like a Chicago,
could-
compared to LA, right?
I
'Cause you
mean,
could start going.
Western Kansas was literally giving out land for people who will buy a house out there. I mean, or not buy a house, that will build a house and live there for at least a year. Free land, acres. And so, and there's other Midwest states that are doing that who actually need the rest of their states to be developed. So there is room that you can, but they're not sending them there. They're sending them to downtown Chicago. They're then sending them to St. Louis. They're sending them to, you know, Brooklyn. They're sending them to Harlem. They're sending them to, you know, places like that. And it's messed up for the city. It's messed up that you're using people as political pawns. It's messed up all the way around. And I mean, I don't know. I'll just leave it at that. But I guess we can move on to one of our next subjects. I guess. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask if you wanted to go into the Kamala interview and all this shit with Trump.
Say that one.
Oh yeah, you said we go at the end. Okay.
Yeah. Chamonix says, Marcus and Chris, I don't want to sound racist, but why they give the East Asians so much power and respect? Because a lot of those East Asians come in with more wealth. That's why. They
look. Perfect example. There are housing developments, you know, in and around my city, right, and in the neighboring cities. I know for a fact that many of the buyers were Indian, and they were spending $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 cash purchases. You know, you're trying to catch these people prior to closing, and they leaving to go back to India or points anywhere else. But you know, you had to communicate with these people, make sure they had the funds where the funds needed to be. But I can tell you, in these developments by these big builders, that a lot of these housing units are being purchased by Indians. That I could speak to that. A lot of them, a whole lot. But again, they have money.
And to add on to that, I saw a story out of India that said that India's population right now is one of the only populations in the world which is growing and growing fast. Now, they are and China right now is kind of in a little mild recession, but India right now is creating a new billionaire like every 16 hours. And now, is it still a stark difference in massive poverty throughout the rest of that country? Yeah. But a lot of wealth is going to concentrate at the top of Indian society. A lot of billionaires who are flying all over the damn place.
That is correct. And they have a lot of cash to spend at that. They're not necessarily applying for credit because they need credit, you know?
In fact, I saw this one Twitter post that was going through how many different CEOs of major corporations in America right now that are Indian. And that wouldn't surprise me if that leads to a possible Kamala win. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Well, that's not part of what we're going to talk about, but you know, anyway, tying in from India to, well, no, that's right. I'll go into that one. Could get rid of these quick ones for it. In Israel right now, there has been 6 Israeli hostages which were found dead. So a lot of the Israelis are outraged right now. So there's rumors of possible strikes, general strikes that may happen in Israel to force a ceasefire. There's also people who are pushing for a ceasefire to vaccinate a lot of the people in Gaza because of the high amounts of polio that are starting to be developed in Gaza. And if you think, oh, well, they're doing it because they care about the Gazans, no, they're not. They're doing it because now they're worried about Israeli troops catching polio from interactions with Gazans. Well, and there's other reasons. I'll let Chris go into that, but I need to hit the restroom real quick. But yeah, going ahead and give your thoughts on that, sir.
Yeah, I mean, you won't, again, in order of importance, right? What do we need? Food? Well, order of importance. Let me start there. Wouldn't it be more important for you to stop raining bombs on us at any given time? Wouldn't it be important that you allow emergency services, medical services into where we are right now? Wouldn't it be important if you just let us get some food? I mean, between those three things, I think, you know, those would be the three most important things for the people in Gaza right now. Now, the entity that is, you know, waging war upon them, you know, and they're pushing forward with their ethnic cleansing of the area, they won't stop bombing them, they won't stop killing them, they won't allow food in and or medicine. However, but you're going to allow the children to be vaccinated. Again, if you read the reports about the breakout of polio, and again, if you read beyond just the headline, read the actual story, please, you will see it makes reference to children and how this is spreading amongst children. They continue to reference and mention children throughout all of these articles regarding polio. Again, you won't stop killing children, but you're going to inject them with the polio vaccination. To help them. Again, this is a sterilization project. Again, this is not anything. It's not any different than what they used to do. If you check the news, and again, the country that we're discussing has a history of this. If you just look at what they've done to the Ethiopian Jews who have migrated there or who have emigrated there or have chosen to seek asylum in Israel, please just use your fingers before you get all mad and upset and in your feelings. Just let your fingers do the search for you. Talk to your phones, talk to the remote control. I don't know. Ask them to pull up the stories for you. You will see the country has admitted to sterilizing these groups of people. When you look at the history of all the people these folks are related and or connected to, they all have these they all have these programs in place to bring about sterilization. We see the programs in America. We've seen the programs in Central America. We've seen the programs in South America and in Africa. Ironically, we don't really have much data on those programs in Europe. It's just funny how that works. But anyway, I digress. I'll stick to where we are. But again, they basically want to sterilize these kids because, again, they know that the future generations of the people there are just going to harbor nothing but animosity towards them. So they kind of want to step on the problem ahead of time. And in addition, sorry, Marcus, one last thing. Since we're here, they also started military and all kind of activity in the West Bank as well. I saw that they were destroying streets. They got all the heavy equipment out that you would use for construction. Of course, they would take materials that you would use for construction for destruction. Again, it's perfectly on point for what we're discussing.
Yep, it is correct. For the people we're dealing with, I want to call these people so many things, but I'm gonna behave. But everything is a distortion and a lie that's going on. And I guarantee you, when this is all said and done, when the actual real numbers come out, I think people are going to be like, we never knew that it was that bad. I guarantee you, even Zionists are going to be trying to, well, I mean, if I would have knew that it was this bad, who could have known what was going on? I guarantee you it's going to be a whole lot of that and people trying to pretend. Shout out to Gregory Walker, who is blessed us over there on the rock side. He said him and his lady at the casinos, and she's hitting right now. So
nice.
Blessings
Shit.
to you all. Says
Word.
she's hit
Make
twice already.
you pay them taxes, kid. Don't have them looking for you after the fact.
Definitely not that. But I just look at the situation there. All we can do our best is to kind of bring up when these atrocities around the world are going on. I mean, horrible situation going on in Darfur right now, which Darfur can't get a break. It always stays kind of on like a decades long kind of like starvation mission. So I just wanted to put that out there and talk about a little bit what's going on. And it was a good point that Chris brought up about the West Bank, because it's not just Gaza. They moving into the West Bank, and I think that they are moving for full-on ethnic cleansing. I don't know how many saw that video going around about that super pale blonde-haired woman who's trying to spin colonization as a good thing. But it's just.
And she was young too. The girl, I saw that video where the girl. For those who don't know what we're talking about, there's a viral going. Not viral, but there's a video going around.
Oh, it's viral. It's hit millions right now.
Yeah, there's a young Zionist who clearly, part of you wants to feel bad for the young girl because, clearly she did not develop any of these thoughts on her own. Clearly, this is what has been programmed into her because she's way too young. She looks like she's probably not even 21 yet. And maybe if she's in her 20s.
She's like 24.
Oh, okay. She looked mad young to me. But anyway, again, just still too young to be saying the things that she's saying in the manner in which she's saying it. Clearly, that is all the propaganda that has spread. But these are people who are she was describing describing colonialism in the 21st century, much in the same way that maybe somebody would in the 19th century or the early 20th century
or the 18th century. I mean,
the 18th century. Yeah, it's the verbiage is almost verbatim. You know what I'm saying? Based on what they said back then to now, that basically we're the good people. We're bringing in all the good ideas. We'll, turn this society from, a shithole to heaven.
They're ignorant savages, basically.
Yeah, and we have to rid the land of the savages because, they're just pollutants.
I mean, very reminiscent to if you were to step into a time machine and talk to early American colonists and their interactions with the Native Americans. Same mentality, manifest destiny. Oh, God gave us this land and blessed us to come in here and do this. It's the same talking point. It's just Israelis haven't got the memo that the rest of the world is not cool with this shit anymore. I saw that the detected strain of polio was not a wild strain. It was a vaccine-derived strain. Ooh, be careful saying that. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if
this is just someone's opinion. It's not. We're not saying that's what it is. Because they're just saying
if there's some kind of contaminant that it has been put into some of the water or food that has been so that it does target, these people. Can China be defeated or is it too late? I don't think China is who we need to focus on nearly as much. I think our own homeborn issues are who we need to focus on. America itself is the biggest part of the problem.
It's building out the community that you need and want to live in here and where you live, as opposed to trying to take on all of these ginormous entities all at once, right? You can't fight this lobby, this army, this gang, this conglomerate. You can't, you just spread yourself too thin. You know what I mean? The only way to do it is to, remove yourself from the situation as much as you can anyway.
At least I feel China is trying to be economic. And if they're trying to be, economically fight against us and you lose the economic battle, I mean, you lose the economic battle when you're not the hegemon. But it's the Western countries which feel the need to do it with force and with violence. And that's more of my issue. I'm not saying that these countries don't do a lot of messed up dissident stuff, but it's the Western countries are the bigger evil at this point.
Yeah, they still, even though I feel that we're in the middle of a shift, we're mid shift of power. The older guys are still, they still got that old man strength, and they should be treated as such. Just be careful, because they still got a good mean right hook that'll sit your ass down. So you still need to watch out for the old head, even though they are, even though we're in the midst of a transfer.
Yeah, definitely in a decline, which that kind of leads on to, and I don't know if you guys seen it. I definitely recommend checking out the PBD podcast where the Adam and Vinny were going at it over this issue. And it's the first time you start seeing people on the right where there's more division, where they're starting to get, I'm tired of this defending Israel no matter what they do. So I think that's a good sign. I also think that's something that, I don't know, we'll talk about it with the whole Trump stuff later too. But about nations not being good nations and doing exactly what they're supposed to, which I definitely recommend you guys check out this video of what's going on in Pakistan. Well, it's actually Pakistan and anybody who is of Pakistani descent. If you are in another country and you are questioning online the results of the election in Pakistan or anything that's going on in Pakistan, I think you really need to pay attention to and be careful of your family who might be back there, because if you haven't seen the video, um, basically a Pakistani gentleman who resides in Australia, who has Australian citizenship and everything. His brother was kidnapped by the Pakistani government. Well, by individuals that we believe are related to the Pakistani government. And the reason I say that, I won't outright say it's the government, but I'll say that we believe that are attached to the government, is because his brother ended up in a Pakistani prison. His brother was kidnapped, and they made a phone call to him about posts that he had made online questioning the validity of the election in Pakistan. And they're also going after dissidents who have had any kind of, I guess, posts and questions about what's been going on with Imran Khan. So it's kind of interesting. I saw it through what Ryan Grimm, they had on his drop site news, how he was going in about the I guess he received the phone call. I'm not sure exactly how that worked, but it had got to him, or I don't know who exactly it got to. But anyway, in the video, you have the phone call of them calling from this man this Pakistani national who is, I guess, a dual citizen of Pakistan and of Australia. He's getting a phone call that they have kidnapped his brother, and they are threatening him, asking him to delete posts online questioning the election and things like that. And so, I mean, it's kind of dystopian that these kind of things are being caught. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's more nations that are doing this stuff. And if you want to check it out, or where I checked it out, I think it was on Breaking Points. Ryan talked about it. Just look up, I guess, what Pakistani national, or it wasn't that long ago. It was sometime earlier in the week. So you guys should be able to find it very easily if you want to look into it and you're not familiar. But it was just a wild story that I ran across. Uncle, I speak of it. My uncle had polio, and the three kids got. Oh, I guess you guys are talking about the polio stuff. Imran Khan and his political party is being criminalized. Yes, they're being criminalized, and the government, which is in power, seems like it almost seems like they're telling on themselves that they are that or what they are doing. On board the U.S. doing all the things pro Russia or pro China. Yeah, but I mean, guess let's see. Hamza says the CIA is Pakistani army, and in Pakistan, the army rules there. So there is basically a CIA run Pakistan. Oh, I believe that. I definitely believe that. I mean, it's very, very, very likely. But back to what
Is that the ISI that he's referring to?
I believe so. Or is that who you're referring to, Hamza? Um, I wanted to respond to this one real quick. Senora Dominique says, I'm not on board with U.S. doing all these things, interventions, but I'm also not pro Russia or pro China. I'm not pro any of these nations. I just look at it as how this system is set up. You're going to have to deal with one of these nations, um, one way or another, because right now they have the monopoly on most of the products that you're going to need. You're going to have to go through them through a lot of business and development, at least until these nations get stronger on their feet. And they're not going to be able to get on their feet and do what they need to as long as they have intervention coming from the Western nations. So if somebody's always pushing your head up underwater, it's hard to get out of the pool. And this is where I see what's the problem that the global South is having. Um, Throughout South America, you have the CIA, State Department, interfering in most of their elections, interfering in business and domestic issues and all that, which are forcing the crises which they're having in the nations. The sanctions, all of that, and the U.S. What the U.S. is doing throughout South America mainly. That's what France. That's what Spain. That's what Portugal. Well, Portugal's not doing much of it anymore, but mostly it's the UK, Spain, and France. Which France was the one who was the biggest culprit. They're cutting a lot of these countries off at the knees, and they're bullying them around and forcing the sanctions on them and doing all the same stuff that the U.S. is doing throughout most of Latin America and parts of Africa. And so, as long as you have these Western influences, um, stealing resources, starting coups, doing all these things, and these nations aren't strong enough on their own to fend them off, you're going to need some kind of help from somebody to help fend you off. And I mean, it's not the ideal partnership, but it's at least somebody who is not doing what this other nation is doing to you, and at least giving you a chance to get on your own feet. Say, who are you talking about getting on the show?
Oh, he was talking. Hamza was talking about somebody he knows.
Well, yeah, reach out to us, or we'll reach out to them first, see if they'd be interested in coming on.
Marcus, so what's the resolution in the situation with the kidnapping, though?
What they said is that if he deletes the tweet, they will release his brother 30 minutes after. I haven't heard the follow up to see if they've released his brother. I don't know. There might be news about that now. Probably try to do a search and see if his brother was released. But like they had him on the phone, like beating and slapping around his brother, and they told him, they said, if you don't delete this tweet and don't tweet anything for, how long did they say? I think they said 30 days. After 30 days, he could say whatever he wants. He can even criticize. But for 30 days, he has to not tweet anything about this government, um, uh, that there was any problem with their elections or anything having to do with Imran Khan.
Damn. Yeah, their political situation over the years has been crazy. People, politicians there, they get shot, they get clipped. It's nothing for them to catch a bullet, while at a campaign stop or, shopping or anything like that.
Yeah, was that the one where they just had those politicians on the floor? No, that was Turkey. My bad.
Yeah.
Turkey, where they were throwing hands.
Mm-hmm. Chris, they're actually, China, Russia, they're controlling Africa.
Well,
I don't know. It's very, it is Africa, I think, is a very interesting place to watch, and I think maybe I was slow to it personally. I know there's a lot of other people online, thankfully, who have paid closer attention to what is actually happening on the continent, and not just the negative views, just not the results of the colonialism, but things that are happening with the youth there, not just on a cultural shit like, oh, they making music or they dress and fly or they talk in a certain way. Actually, there's a lot of revolutionary things happening in the continent. You know, you can point to a number of places and you can see that younger people are actually um, they're understanding what it means to be where they're from and what they have underneath them and how they should fit in the world going forward versus how they've fit into the world, you know, in years prior. So that is very interesting to see. I bring up Burkina Faso a lot. We could see things in Ghana happening and just little pockets here and there, but you know, it is definitely more exciting. It's more exciting to watch them on their journey as opposed to anything that's happening here in the States, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I would say to Chris H and Hamza, yeah, they are controlling to a degree because it's kind of the same thing as if you go to a bank and they give you a really, really high interest rate. They are kind of with their hands in your pocket and it's going to affect you. But would you rather, I look at it like this, would you rather deal with somebody who's going to give you really, really high interest rates and affect your pocket, or deal with the one who is going to grab you by your neck, slam your head up against the wall, say, you're going to give me this money every month? I mean, at least you're having the autonomy to try to work on and build things in your own country without being forced and told you can't do this, you can't do that. I mean, they're basically just charging you a high fee. Now, they might be taking advantage of you. True, I'm not saying that they're not, but
exactly,
it's not the same as what the West is doing.
Correct. And you know, you're gonna bump, you're gonna fall, and you're going, you know, learning to ride the bike without training wheels. You're gonna fall a time or two before you get right with it to the point to where you're doing wheelies and and bunny hops and tricks and all that other kind of stuff. And Marcus, I wanted to ask you, could I play a little bit of this video by this Dr. Arikana?
Sure, you can play a little bit.
All right, cool.
I'll be right back.
Like independence. We were given independence by name.
It's mid-video, so just
the multinational companies that existed during colonization, they have never left Africa to this day. To what extent are we going to continue to be stupid? To what extent are we going to continue to be used as instruments of our own self-destruction? To what extent are we going to stand up and say enough is enough?
I don't know.
And once again, let me reiterate. We apologize for what we have done to our Africa. We apologize for failing to defend your Africa like we should. But all is not lost. So it is as I traveled around the United States and the Americas, and I would talk about what was happening in Africa. To my surprise, the Africans, but Ambassador, the African leaders are corrupt. I get it. We have some that are corrupt, but we also have some good leaders. But the question is, what kind of a president do you have who has given up natural resources, who has given up financial resources, who has given up control of it? What kind of a leader is that? We have to talk about the multinationals. In addition to that pact, in addition to the constraints that are being put on African leaders, in addition to the fear of having coups and African leaders being eliminated when they try to do that which is right for their people. We also had to deal with the multinationals that never left Africa since colonization to this day. We too must call them out, because they too are another axis of evil. They are robbing Africa to the tune of trillions every year. They use safe havens to hide their returns. They are using illegal means to loot out of Africa. Look at DRC. You have tarmacs in the middle of the jungle. 747s flying into DRC, picking up minerals and flying right out of Africa. And this is happening all over Africa. You have NGOs that are sent to Africa not to help you, NGOs that are coming to Africa to make sure that they continue to destabilize your countries by any means necessary. Neo-colonization is colonization that simply changed clothes. As we talk about our Africa and what is ailing our beloved continent, as we talk about institutions of higher learning, it is important that children, you understand the three axes of evil: imperialism, colonization, neo-colonization. Understand them fully and understand how they are being used to keep Africa where they want Africa to be. You see, a liberated and informed Africa is an Africa that is dangerous to the Western world.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah,
I mean,
I'll post the rest of that. I'll post the link to that in the chat so people can go and watch the rest of it. I suggest you do. Her name is Dr. Arakana. You can find her all over the internet. You know, again, the rest of it is actually very good. Go ahead, Marcus. Sorry.
my thing, what I would say to her is, that sounds good. That really does sound good. But you're speaking as if you do just stand up, the Western countries are all just going to sit back and be like, all right, we're going to stop taking the trillions of dollars from you, and we're just going to take that hit on the chin nightly. I mean, that was good, but
that's why I'm saying people should listen to the rest of it, because right after that, she says, yo, this is not for the faint of heart. This is a fight. They're going to put up a fight, and you're going to have to do things that you might not want to do to come out on top of this. So she made that very clear. She's like, this is going to be very hard. And then
a lot of people can say something when the gun is not pointed at you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Your head is a different story.
She makes very clear that they will wage war against them for what it is that they will try to do. So I liked that, you know, she imparted that part of it. She wasn't just all, oh yeah, if you just do this and that, then everything will be good. She made it clear that you will have to defend and fight for yours on many different fronts, not just one. There'll be many different battles. So that's why I was saying people should really check that out, because it sounded good to hear an elder say that, you know what, my generation of elders, we old heads, failed you guys miserably. We gave you all bad information. We were bad leaders. You know, we gave in to the West. We gave them everything. We gave away the farm, essentially, and that can't happen and should not happen again with the younger generation. So that was, again, you don't really hear many people expressly saying that or admitting their mistakes outwardly like that, especially to a younger generation.
I don't think it's so much a mistake. I think it is dealing with how reality has been for literally centuries. It's not like Africa has always just been sitting back and taking the path of least resistance. They've tried fighting. They've definitely tried fighting, and they've lost almost every single time. And you're taking in that these countries that they're going to be fighting against still has the technological weapons, still has the money on their side, still has all the. I mean, you're fighting David and Goliath now. What she can be advocating for is, well, I would rather go out and just die than continue to keep, being under their boot heel. And some people that might be the way they're fine with that. But there's going to be a whole lot of people who aren't going to be fine with that, and that's where you end up losing. You have to have all or nothing, because
that's what I'm saying.
Launching off missiles, France ain't even got to leave from France to vaporize most of those parts of Africa which they colonize.
No, not at all. However, they don't necessarily want to do that because they have them as colonies precisely because they need something that's in the ground there, right? Mm-hmm. So, or something that originates there. So, in terms of physically trying to destroy these people, not the people, but the land as well, is obviously not going to work too well for them in their colonial project. But I see, for me, the angle I look at it is, they are actually trying to unify themselves and work out their inner beefs, as opposed to just like one small group just saying, hey, we need to take on these people. It really looks like there is concerted efforts to be fixing the home front first before actually taking on the external problems, which is actually where, where you should be started from, because without a foundation, you don't have nothing to stand on. And they're going to be attacked just for that as well. That's probably the most dangerous thing they could do, as opposed to just like trying to, shoot some shit up or blow somebody up or something like that.
No, but that's literally what that's what happened to Gaddafi. Gaddafi was trying to tell everybody to rise up, and they're like, all right, time for you, done got too big for your britches. Let's go ahead and take you out.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
but all things come to an end at some point in time, and these things take time, and there's progress to be made, and a lot of the times, a lot of the leaders we've seen throughout on the continent, for the most part, they very easily corruptible, and which is why we have a lot of what we see throughout the continent. It's a lot of corruption, and those corrupt people willing to use the forces of the state to go at the rest of the population there. If they at least internally could start there and get their act together on that level, get those people and their families and their affiliates out, then you will start to make progress like we've seen in Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso.
Yeah, but I still think it comes down to, it's a lot more of them that are corrupted because they're dealing with the option of plato o plomo.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of people are like, man, I'm not sure I have the possibility of getting ultra wealthy, all of my family and my circle being wealthy, or I can die and watch everybody around me die. More people are going to choose take care of them and theirs and survive. And it's just, I think it's far less people who are going to decide, well, I'm willing to just die and lose it all. And that's,
of course. But as long as you get it, remember, you never need 100% of anybody to do anything. As long as you have the amount of the numbers that you need to get the job done, you'll get it done. Again, it takes some time because, again, everything is cyclical on some level, right? This continent was once at the top of everything. Now they find themselves at the bottom of everything. It took a long time for them to go from the top to the very bottom. It took a lot of incursion after incursion after incursion. It took a very long time for this to happen. So for the people on the continent currently, for them to get back up, it's taking them a while. But again, it's positive. It's a positive thing to see what is happening, at least now in the 21st century going forward.
All right. I guess we can leave it at that.
I mean, at some point, everybody was slaves here. Everybody was indentured servants here, right? At some point, something had to happen, regardless of whether the power brokers chose one side or the other. But, at some point, they had to do something. That you just don't want to run on everybody. You don't want to have a totally lawless situation.
Well,
everywhere.
I look at it as
That's not always good for business either.
well. You say, well, the people here at one point were on top. Yeah, they were on top because they weren't dealing with an outside force who was weaponized against them. The Europeans didn't know about this continent to come over here and all, gang up against everybody. Because that's one thing. The West moves as a block. All these other nations move as individuals.
Mhm.
And when you're fighting 10-on-1, the odds are always against you. And
Correct.
that's the problem with most of these African nations. They don't fight. They don't look at themselves as a united Africa. And like Warren said there, a united Africa would be a force of nature. How long would that take? There would be a lot of, and because Africa is so big and there's so many differences, there's going to be a lot invested in keeping those wedges there, along with assassinations of this, false flags, all kind of stuff that's going to keep, that's going to work, more than ever to keep those divisions. And if it looks like it would be a situation where you could have a united Africa to push back against all of not only the Western powers, but the Eastern powers of Russia and China also, then you could see a situation where the West and the East form up to go against Africa also, to increase those numbers. So, I mean, I just see it as a massive uphill climb. And also they understand where all the veins are, where all the pressure points already. And they're dealing with just nations which far superior in weaponry and firepower and manipulation and money. And so as long as you have the hegemon on the money and the wealth and the weapons, it just makes it tough. I mean, that's how I see it anyway. And I could just be the pessimist, but I just see it as you would need the reason why you would need most of the people is because you don't have the wealth or the weapons. When you don't have the wealth or the weapons, you got to have the numbers. And if you can't get the numbers and have the numbers of people who know that I know I'm not going to be with you guys on the end of this, we might be looking at a situation where we lose hundreds of millions of people, possibly even possibly close to 30, 40, 50% of the population might have to die to achieve this. When you put those stakes out like that, everybody's not built that way to go through all that. And they're like, is what we're dealing with that horrible? And so that's all I'm saying.
Generations, the line of thinking goes on long enough, and then eventually shift happens. So me personally, just like everything else, I think we're in the shift now where people are, especially much younger people in certain situations, are thinking like, yeah, what else do we have left? And that doesn't mean to go.
I think they're talking. That doesn't mean like that. I don't think that their actions is following that. I think they're talking like that.
Yeah, they're moving in that direction. Again, things take time, and revolutions. While it does require bloodshed and fighting and warfare and things like that, there are other aspects to revolution that you need to happen as well. So you'll get to all those things, as I said, building a foundation. Then you'll be able to have to physically defend yourself at some point. You know what I mean? You have to organize yourselves. You can't just be reckless. I think people have I think some people have a misconstrued like viewpoint on what actual revolution looks like, because everything is different. What it looked like in Cuba and Venezuela is not going to look like it did here in the United States, versus not going to look like what it did in Haiti. It's not going to look like what it did anywhere else where they've had successful revolutions.
It can't look like those. We're dealing with a whole different reality. I mean, weaponry, technology, everything has changed since then. So it can't happen that way. Back then, Haiti was able to store up weapons that that the French had no clue about that to be able to fight that battle. For the revolutions in Cuba, they were able to forge partnerships with other nations to be able to fight against them, which the Spaniards had
They
no
only
clue
used
what they were doing.
Cuba had a small amount of people if in relation to what they were able to do.
But they also had allies coming from, like, there were American allies who helped them with weaponry also, and supplied the means to be able to fight against the Spaniards.
Yo, the black market is open. We going to Afghanistan to go purchase some weapons, kid. They got shit. They got it for cheap over there. There's weapons flying around.
And even like people who talk about the French revolutions, you were able to build up whole movements, and that's the reason why I throw technology into it. Once you start talking about this, they're able to spy into most of everybody's stuff, what they're doing. So they're able to see, oh, they're going to start training over here. Oh, these are the people who are leading this movement. And it's harder and harder to be able to stay off the grid, to be able to build up this movement before they can start, taking it apart piece by piece. And that's what I'm saying. I think in a lot of ways, it's harder because of the technology to be able to spy into what everybody is doing.
Yeah, I feel you. But the future will be
will
be very interesting.
Generations, no offense to younger generation out here, but y'all not built like that. Y'all are much more softer. Y'all are much more comfortable. I just don't see them having that hunger or that fight which generations of past had.
I think, if we talk about what we would call first world countries, yeah, but I think for people
I would
in
even say,
the bottom,
look at the young 20-somethings in Nigeria and stuff like that. They in South Africa, in Ghana, they still on the same kind of stuff. They're getting a lot of the spoiledness of the Western nations too.
Yeah, that would be like that would be the majority of excuse me, that would be the minority of those countries, right? Their 1%, their version of it that we see.
But as they see it, it softens them because they start to desire that.
I mean, everybody's always desired like wealth and fly shit, right? Come from a lineage of
that stuff. It makes that revolutionary edge. It dulls it up a little bit because now you're think of, do I want to chase trying to be like WizKid, or do I want to be out here with the fucking mosquitoes and gnats and shit, like really fighting this shit out?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and for everybody knows, I'm biased. I believe that it's going to take for a Messiah to come and fix all this stuff, and so I don't think that there's going to be any kind of taking matters into our own hands to stop the inevitables. And in order for the world to get back and restored, yes, these Western nations are going to have to collapse. But what I believe is they're going to collapse themselves before they're defeated by us. They're going to collapse on their own. And I feel like that's when we'll be able to have the autonomy in the rest of the world. Because I look at it as their blessing is to lie, cheat, steal. Lie, cheat, steal, murder, conquer. That's the blessing that they were given. Everybody else has other blessings. Ours is, I feel like most of the rest of the world is culture, humanity, creativity. Theirs is stealing. Theirs is killing. Theirs is having low morals. Those are doing whatever I need to do, no matter how scummy it is, to get to the top. No matter how much backstabbing and lying I have to do. And I think as long as they hold the trump card, as you will, on just being the most low down dirty that you can be, it's hard to defeat that gutter fighter. Oh, I saw that. Yeah. But we'll see how long a lot of that stuff lasts too. I think when you come over to the U.S. and everybody's soft over here, yeah, it's easy to run up in a couple of apartment units. But I look at it, if they were, for instance, if they was facing a lot of the gangs of the early 90s when we were growing up, it'd have been a whole different story. If they were to facing the mobsters of the 60s and the 70s, and a whole different story. But you got half the people want to wear skinny jeans, short shorts, and worried about pronouns while trying to figure out the top dance craze. I don't see them as a valid a valid opposition. That's what I would say. Yeah, those former Eastern European USSR countries are beating the West. Exactly. Because of that. But there's this a little bit different story there. But I'll leave it at that.
Those former Eastern, what are they beating them? I mean, I know like boxers and athletes from that part of the world and shit like that, basketball players and shit, and they're tough. The Eastern Europeans always tough, especially boxing and fighting. But what else are they beating the West in though?
Well, I think he's talking about as far as like the NATO troops and stuff like that who are going in fighting through Ukraine to fight Russia.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it's been disappointing watching sports lately. I mean, can't help it. Being from America, you have that kind of USA pride when it comes to sports. And I don't watch videos of us getting mopped up in basketball, like 3-on-3s and 1-on-1s with Great Britain. I don't watch the American female flag football team get mopped up by Mexico. And I'm like, that USA ain't standing up the way it used to.
I mean, the 3-on-3, as far as that goes, at least for the men, they didn't send like the ballers.
This was street ballers.
Yeah, that's what they didn't put the dudes on the team they had to let the rest of the world get something in basketball. So they're like, here, take a 3-on-3 since you will never win in 5-on-5.
No, I'm not talking about part of the Olympics.
Oh, gotcha.
That's another L I forgot about. But this was YouTubers from going over to the UK.
Okay.
And they played like 4 1-on-1s, which we lost most of those. Then a 3-on-3, which we lost that, and then I think we won the 3-on-3 and then lost the 5-on-5 against British street ballers. Come on, y'all embarrassing us. The hell,
right? That's crazy.
We're losing breakdancing. Come on now, what are y'all doing?
Right. So what's up with this? What's up with the political situation here in this place?
Oh, we got a bunch of stuff going on. Well, yeah, still number one in military and prisons, but we're actually starting to have some competition on the military side with China. So I don't know. It's getting sketchy. But as you guys know, Kamala finally sat down for her first interview. And there has been a lot of division from that. That's one story to talk about. And some interesting news with Trump also. I won't even go into the whole Arlington National Cemetery stuff. That I think is kind of a nothing burger. I mean, yeah, you broke tradition and it's kind of offensive to some people, but I don't think that's going to be a major issue. But the kind of reversal on the IVF stuff out of Trump, that kind of surprised me a little, and I'm wondering how that's going to affect some of his chances, being that there's a wedge there are camps on the right who are pretty ticked off at Trump right now. You got the people who are a lot of America First people who are not very happy with his over-the-top adoration for Israel. Then you got the people who are really ticked off about him kind of not saying that he would sign an abortion ban, a nationwide abortion ban. And then his new stance on the whole getting the government, which sounds a whole lot like socialism to me, which he was just screaming about Kamala doing. He wants the government to mandate IVF treatments and anything related to them. Well, the state will either pay or the government. So I don't know. It's just kind of interesting. And I'm wondering how that's going to affect Trump. Though he's tripled in his numbers in the black support.
They said triple.
Triple, yeah. I think he's somewhere around what was it, 22% or something like that.
Again, as far as that goes, he doesn't need to get up to 60-70%. I mean, if he were to get that high, that would be a very loud statement. But again, he doesn't need that high. He doesn't need that much. Again, if he's in that 25 to 35 realm, that's as you know, as people would say in baseball, you know, that's a sweet spot for him politically.
Yeah,
if that's how the electors, if that's how voters in those states where it matters, where in Pennsylvania, right? If he gets 32% of all Black or all Black people vote, that will be a major problem for the Democratic Party. In Georgia, if he gets 38% in Georgia, that will be a problem for the Democratic Party. Same for Michigan, the same for Wisconsin, the same for where else? And Ohio. In those states, if the Black population comes out anything in the 30s or approaching the 30s, it will make the race very, very, it'll favor Trump, but it'll definitely make the Democratic Party be nervous.
Also, that's right. We haven't talked about the RFK. No, I think we did talk about RFK. But now Tulsi,
the RFK endorsement of Trump? Yeah.
We did talk about it, but now Tulsi endorsed Trump. How much do I think that's going to affect him? Not much. I think the fact of anybody who was going to vote for Trump is going to vote for Trump. I don't think there's a bunch of RFK people who are like, well, I guess now I'm gonna go vote for Trump. I think that small percentage that he had out of that what 4 or 5% that he was at, maybe a half of that, maybe what 5%, 10% most out of that 4% might go vote for Trump. I think many of them were going for RFK because they don't like Trump or Kamala.
You know, Trump is kind of like Obama in this regard politically, that he has his voters, he has his numbers. They're not going to go anywhere. For the most part, his base of support is going to stay at whatever number that is. He'll lose very little people, and just like the way Obama lost very little people in 2012. The issue is, can Trump win those people? Can he get enough votes in those few states that I mentioned before?
Well, and I think one thing that's going to hurt Trump that I don't think many people factored in is the abortion laws, the state abortion laws that are on the books in some of those states, I think are going to hurt Trump. I know Arizona, Nevada, Florida, Pennsylvania, I think all of them have some kind of abortion laws that are going to be on the books.
So after this election, well, I expect Trump to win, so I guess I can't really ask that question. So I guess I would save that question for when a Democratic administration is in there. But go ahead, Marcus. Sorry.
I mean, I still think it's a toss-up. I mean, I look at And that goes to Warren's question. I'll put it on the screen. Who do the ones who actually run things here want as the puppet? I mean, president. And I'm still having a hard time figuring out which one they want.
I think they don't want Kamala to win. They're, as far as the campaign goes, as somebody who pays attention to this stuff, sure, I'm sure some of this Good Morning America bullshit works for a certain amount of the population, but for somebody such as myself, the campaign she's running is actually is wild disrespectful. It's very insulting, and I find it difficult to cover her campaign. Every single time.
I was like, go ahead and elaborate.
Every single time I see Kamala being referenced as it relates to the Black community, it's never policy. It's always some cultural bullshit. It's who she listens to rap, who she got on stage with her, who's a rapper, entertainer. Then she's talking about collard greens in the tub and giving out her recipes for how she makes her collard greens. Oh, she went to a HBCU. Every time she has to address the Black community, it's always some type of cultural shit. It's never on any policy shit. Never. That says two things. One, the group themselves are easily swayed by cultural shit, so that's bad on the community. However, it's bad as you, for whoever you are, trying to convince people to support you without anything really, I don't want to use the word tangible like that, but without something that you could actually get behind. And when I see her talking to other groups, when she discusses Israel, for instance, going to that same interview that she did on CNN, what does she have to do? Like what every other politician does. I unequivocally and without any hesitation, I will always support and stand for that country, no matter what. Look, she's on some Cory Booker shit. I'll break my right arm for that place. You know what I'm saying? I'll fall down the steps defending that place. So she has to do that. She doesn't need any cultural references to speak to them people. She doesn't say, "Oh, I sit Shabbat on Fridays with my Jewish husband and kids." She doesn't mention any of that. She's talking to the Hispanics. She talks to the Hispanic people however she needs to talk to them. But when it comes to us, it's always some cultural bullshit. And she looked mad cringe because she's not of the culture. So it just looks like somebody in disguise who's not of the culture trying to like, "Oh yeah, I'm down, guys. I went to school with a couple of you guys. I rode the bus with y'all. So, I'm kind of low key, kind of cool, but you don't fuck with us in any way. So please stop with the cultural references and remarks every single time you're talking to Black folks. It's embarrassing, dog. I mean, we have it on the other side. We have other embarrassing and other issues to take up with for people who will call themselves right wing or conservative. That's something we've been talking about and pointing to and highlighting for a long time, a la Candace Owens and how she speaks and the things she says. So you're just doing that on the opposite side, just trying to be nice about it. And I don't like that shit. That's me personally.
I mean, I agree with your assessment. Yes. My only caveat that I would throw in is what percentage of our people who are still extremely low information, who don't see all the things that we're seeing? And I think it's a high amount of them. Now, I would say the under 50, I would drop that down even more. Under 45 Black vote who are engaged would be like 90% are not fucking with it. But how many who are not engaged, who are the under 40 and the above 45, the above 50, she got them on lock.
Oh yeah.
She got them on 1000% on lock.
Like 97 percentile.
Exactly. And so I think and also they said I think it's something like she increased her black female vote by 127% or something crazy like that. It might even be higher than that they said. So she gonna get all the ratchet chicks who never go out and vote. They're gonna come out and vote this time for her. And so since these are a large demographic of people who never voted before, I don't know how you factor that in to the equation and count them, because I guarantee you none of them are being polled. I would be surprised if some of them, even if you are trying to poll them, if their phone is on at the same time. I mean, so it's going to be a whole lot of people who are falling for the, oh, she a black woman and vote. I mean, I see, for instance, like Amazing Lucas. It's crazy. He is like, I never would have figured to see him as like such a Kamala simp. And I like him, I'll admit, but he's going at the Philip Scotts, and I seen Tim Black laid it out. Honestly, somebody who supports Kamala, Stephen A. Smith. I don't know if you saw Stephen A. Smith's rant. But you should definitely see. He's like, I support Kamala, but what I'm trying to tell you is the honeymoon is over. You floating by with, and he criticized her for having Tim Walz there for the interview. He said, yeah, everybody is saying Trump had Mike Pence there for his interview. He did JD Vance, and Obama had, yes, after the convention, they all did that. But here's the thing. This is your first interview. You didn't have an interview at the convention. This is your first one. And so it almost looks like for a candidate who got put into the position, yep, Bowling Ball Martin too. For a person who didn't have to do anything to get in this position, your first interview, people need to be able to say, yeah, this is why I'm voting for Kamala. You got to at least give those people who do support you a bone. You're not doing that. I mean, her interview, she looked like she needed Tim Walz or Waltz, however y'all pronounce it.
Yeah, Waltz.
Like she needed him to be there. I mean, they asked her on, what are you going to do on day one? She fumbled on that question. She didn't have like a concise, quick, this is what I'm going to do day one. And I feel like that should be a layup. You should know what you're going to do day one. You should know what you're going to have all the way, your first 100 days, easy to say what your agenda that you have planned. But that's more that Kamala is a political chameleon. She don't really stand on anything. She's trying to focus on everybody and figure out what she can get by with.
Given that we would probably hold her to a higher intellectual, level than we would her opponent on the other side, right? Listening to her is difficult.
But even Trump is going to come out with, I'm going to do immigration my first day. I'm going to do this my first day. I might not agree with it, but he's going to lay out something, and he's not going to sound like somebody who doesn't know what the hell he's going to do.
Yeah, she sounds particularly bad in her interviews. They like, for instance, this is kind of like the example I used the other day, climate change, right? Say to her, well, Kamala, how do you feel about climate change? Well, climate change is important, and I feel that it's important that we change the climate so that we can effectively work on climate change. Because if we don't change the climate, how can we work on climate change? Or something stupid like the way that she says that. I didn't do it right there, but
no, but it's like she's talking to a kindergarten class.
Yeah, and it's pretty bad listening to her, considering that I would think, or not would think,
and I wonder if she got a drinking problem or some kind of something. She's on how she talks. I really think that we should. I'm trying to speak up. Why are you fucking mumbling and shit?
You know, the
Every
last,
voice and shit.
you know what, the biggest problem for the Democratic side of the, you know, I'll give them some free game. The biggest problem with the Democratic Party right now as an institution are all their advisors are idiots and just completely out of touch with everything. That's why Hillary looked the way she did and sounded the way she did. This is why Kamala sounded the way she did.
I
Biden
gotta
sounded the
disagree
way
with
she
you
did.
there. I gotta disagree with you there. I honestly think that they are really good, but the candidate is really, really bad. That's what I
See,
think the issue is. I think Hillary was horrible. I think Biden was horrible, the worst possible. I think Kamala is horrible. They're doing a whole lot of heavy lifting to make these people look way better than they could. Because who could you swap out that can do a better these three candidates?
I mean, I don't know.
Hillary is fucking irritating and annoying. How do you fix that? Biden is like Weekend at Bernie's, and then you got Kamala, who sounds like a person who mixes her prescription drugs with her wine and can't speak half the time. And you could tell she obviously does no studying on any issue that she's gonna talk about. She just gets up there and tries to wing everything and doesn't have enough foreknowledge to wing it.
Yeah, but again, the only way, you know, the way you get through that is obviously having, you know, a friendly relationship with the mass media. You know, that's the only way that you can get through it. And then, you know, the constant brainwashing, you know, people are thinking they're watching news, but they're actually watching, you know, brainwashing operations. You know, that's what they're subjecting themselves to, you know, daily, especially our parents and generation that's older than, you know, that older generation. They sit and they listen to that shit, and it's really warped their views, and they've passed some of that shit on to their children, and then their children are stumbling into some version of that bubble online, just a different, you know, just same bullshit taught to them from a different perspective, right? But it still seeks to keep them within that same bubble, and it's bad, you know, because like you said, all those candidates are horrible. They're trash, but I think their advisors are really trash too.
No, I don't think that what they're working with. How can they do better? It's like you see certain movies and they make a woman the love interest, and she's an ugly woman. You could fix the dress the best way you can, put the cute heels with it, and do makeup and do the hair the right way. But if that female lead interest is not an attractive woman, she's not an attractive woman, and that's what you have going on here. Obama was very easy because Obama was a good candidate. He was a good orator. I mean, he could speak. He had some charisma, and so it was easy for them to do Obama because it's all the same people who are putting them up. It's just so weak because she's not good on her feet because she obviously is somebody who's never studied any of this. She doesn't take any of this stuff seriously. I do not believe at all Kamala takes any of this shit seriously. Now, if it's a case, she has to win and she has the time to study it and deliver her lines in the case, yes. But she's not good off her feet. She's not sharp. We actually engage in these issues so we can talk on any issue that's thrown our way. She cannot, and they made sure. If they were bad at their job, Kamala had already done 4 interviews and already tanked her campaign. They found a way to string this shit out to roughly 2 months, letting her glide
in a pre-taped interview.
In a pre-taped interview. Now, some people say, "Oh, well,"
I agree with that point.
They gave her the questions. I don't think they gave her the questions. I think that they just cut out other shit that was worse. I think that they very easily could have just edited out any of the stuff where she was really, really bad. And then you put Tim Walz there so that he could take up half of the time. or at least a third of the time. So out of this, 27-minute interview, first is an introductory. He takes probably about a good 7 minutes off of it. You basically leave Kamala having to talk for 15 minutes. I mean, how could you plan that better? And then keep her off and then do it on a Labor Day weekend when you know as many people are not going to pay attention to it. And you can put the campaign. I mean, they're strategic. They're clever with what they're doing. It's the candidate that is just horrible. That's the problem. That is the problem. Kamala is just so bad.
Yeah, she's bad.
Her people have said Kamala doesn't study. That's part of the problem. Kamala don't study none of this shit. She don't care.
And you know, the guy on the other side is pretty bad, even though he's very good at what he does. But he's also equally as terrible. You know what I'm saying?
So Trump has a certain level of charisma, and he's comfortable in his own skin, so he has no problem speaking in front of audiences.
Yeah, that's why I said he's very good at what he does, even though he is bad. Right? He understands the assignment and he performs to that extent. Whereas, you know, Kamala doesn't know. She don't know what voice to put on and what setting, what to say, what not to say. You know, they've put her onto hip hop, and she said her favorite rapper alive is Pac. So again, she's really bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that she is that bad, and I think the powers that be decided, I don't care what the fuck y'all say, we want Kamala as our candidate, and they're like, come on, oh my God. I guarantee you, they are sitting up there. I mean, think about what they're dealing with behind closed doors, how bad she is, how much coaching that they're doing. I'm telling you, I think that these people, are doing a great job with what they have. And I mean,
do you think that their focus on this is why I didn't understand? Again, I think I said this maybe last year or maybe even before. Why the Republicans decided to go after abortion at this time is also very, very as a highly questionable strategy. Because the way you're going at it, you're going to make women, even who support you on some level, say, hold on, wait a second, right? If you say like, no, we can't have it at all. So again, I know we tend to deal in the extremes of rape and incest, but I don't even want to go to that extreme level. I just want to say what happens when you have the irresponsible teenagers. You know, do you just say, all right, well, hey, this is what we got to deal with, and this is what it's going to be? I'm just saying, taking away the choice was just something that was.
They live in a bubble. That's why. They live in the same bubble that the people who feel like they live in the same kind of bubble where I'm trying to think of what's a good example. I mean, let's say what's a particular issue? Plastic straws versus paper straws. There are people out here in California who really are fighting die hard for plastic straws. Oh, the next one is to get rid of the thin disposable bags that you get from the grocery store. That now it's not going to be longer plastic bags anymore. Now it's going to be like cotton or some shit. I don't know. You have people who are so hardcore on this one issue. They don't give a damn about anything else because they feel it is almost like a religious thing to them about the climate issue and this and that. The same thing you have with these pro-life people. Some of these pro-life people, they don't care about no other issue. They don't care about no Israel-Palestine. They don't care about the debt. They don't care about balancing the budget. They don't care about any of this other stuff. Abortion is their only issue. And now that they're getting closer to what they want, I mean, you could say it's the same. You could throw the LGBTQ group in there. A lot of them were pushing for LGBTQ rights. They ain't caring about nothing else. Whichever party's gonna get me, whichever vehicle's gonna get me to my destination of getting this law passed, this is who I'm rocking with. And pro-lifers, because they've been so hardcore on that one issue, once they achieved it, it's like, all right, what do we do now? Okay, well, next step, let's ban it everywhere. And the Republicans, because they did this under Bush. I mean, not under Bush, but under Trump. They did this under Trump. When he comes back, they're going to expect more out of him because he got this accomplished. And so that's the reason why that red wave never actually happened, because
I think
the abortion thing screwed them. And I've even seen Charlie Kirk trying to clean it up. Like, well, you got to understand, this is not a popular position. They don't give a damn if it's a popular position or not. It's the same thing with a lot of people in our community who are pushing reparations hardcore. They feel, Kamala, in order for you to get my vote, you need to put reparations on the ballot. I can tell you this. Kamala puts reparations on the ballot. Kamala has no chance of winning. Period. She will lose, definitely. Now, did you accomplish your goal of getting her to say it and put it on the ballot? Yeah, you did. But she's not going to win. And it's the same thing as pro-lifers in the same boat. We want a nationwide ban. I mean, think they're against IVF, and Trump just said that he's going to mandate that it's paid for. Those people will be like, I'll sit home then. Now, what's always kind of funny to me is if you're the person who's like, I'm willing to sacrifice for not getting what I was accomplishing. Or what I wanted to accomplish. If you're willing to sacrifice and you know the consequence comes with it, cool. But if these pro-life people do not vote for Trump, they're going to lose all the gains and all the pro-life stuff to Kamala. And if it happens to be 2 terms of Kamala, and let's say, for instance, Buttigieg runs after that, and then he gets into power, you're going to watch all of the stuff that you fought for be wiped away. So are you really going to sit home and not vote for Trump? I don't know. You need to think about that. I feel like a lot of people on in our lanes, we've kind of thought about, okay, yeah, I'm fine with sitting home. And if Kamala gets in there, oh well. If Trump gets in there, oh well. And you need to at least have your mind made up to deal with that if that's where you're going as far as, where you are politically. I'd also throw out, I forgot one other thing I want to throw out there. To all of y'all out there who was shitting on Cornel West, talking about how he was going to drop out and endorse the Democrats. All of y'all who were screaming on it, and it's the whole Jimmy Dore bubble of people, y'all know who I'm talking about. Y'all can go through and name off the different people. A lot of y'all were so hardcore that it was going to be Cornel who was going to drop out and then usher everybody into the Democratic Party. Well, all of y'all who were so big RFK supporters until the whole till his Israel policy came out, which some of y'all still stayed on the RFK bandwagon. Now he's the one who's funneling you back into the 2-party duopoly on the side of Trump. How does that make y'all look? Plenty of y'all were RFK and Tulsi supporters. I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up because I thought it was real interesting how a lot of them talk and threw all that on Cornel West for his good, for his bad. All of them threw that on Cornel West. Oh, he's going to do the Democrat shield, blah, 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 blah. And now that RFK became a Republican shield, no words, huh? You're all quiet as church mouse now. I don't know. That was my little rant.
Yeah, but to me, politically, going back to the, I didn't understand why the GOP made abortion such a big, or the ending of abortion such a popular issue. because the only thing it was going to do is energize the other side. The Republicans already had Donald Trump, whether the party really likes him or not. Maybe that's why they did it, to maybe hurt him, really, because this is not a good thing that they have decided to take it on at this point in time. Politically speaking, they should have stuck to, the economy and shit like that. But again, it just goes to show that, they have to do these things to get a lot of people to participate in their system. Because without this, there would be a lot of people not really paying attention, especially women. I'm not saying that women would not have been paying attention to the election, but they would not have been so, what's the word I want to say? They would not be invested now. Just saying, because I've heard from...
shout out to Steve over there. Steve's on the Rockfin side, so shout out to Steve. And I agree. He probably is going to wait till all his money's dried up and drop out. But we'll see if he actually endorses Kamala.
Who?
Cornell. Because I heard him out of his own mouth. He said, I cannot betray my Palestinian brothers and sisters. I cannot endorse anybody who still wants to ship weapons over there.
I mean, if he does, he doesn't. Don't really matter. It is what it is.
I don't see him doing it. I really think that he'll hold to that. Now, does that mean I really support him or anything? No, but I do think that at least on that he's being genuine.
I don't think Cornell. I don't think his endorsement of her or his repudiation of her has enough weight to really carry, with anybody. It's not substantial, is what I'm saying. I get in spirit that people will like it if he doesn't, but if he does, I mean, he spent a lot of his time in the Ivy Leagues as well, despite him being correct, despite him having his finger on the pulse of,
and he's a divine issue. So, I can mean, if he had already came out emphatically multiple times saying he will not, I just don't. Because he doesn't gain or lose. He doesn't gain anything by doing it. He doesn't lose anything by not doing it. He's still in the same situation. So I don't see what he would have to gain by doing it. Also, his supporters ain't going to go over there and vote for Kamala anyway. So I think he learned enough watching Bernie to be like, do I want to burn up all my little bit of credibility I have left?
I mean, he shouldn't. It doesn't help him to endorse. It doesn't help him. It doesn't help him to make that endorsement, at least not personally, right? Personally, because to me, politically, it's whatever. It's somebody else just saying, "Oh, be afraid of Trump. Go this side," right? But personally, that would have an effect on him and probably some of his legacy as he is in the latter half of his life. I don't know if he wants to go out like Chomsky. Because, Chomsky went out, again, it's you die, you be the hero, live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Chomsky just went out. The last couple of things he said prior to, his life expiring were just like, old man, just go sit down and chill. Like, we really don't need to hear from you anymore. So, Cornell.
Expiring, he passed away?
I say, did he? I didn't know. I thought he was like.
Expiring. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, did he die?
I thought they threw in the towel on Chomsky already, though.
I don't think he died, though. No, he's still around.
Whoops, sorry. I thought he had. I thought he was gone already. That's how much I don't. And that's how much I already got him gone. But anyway, no, I'm not making news here. I thought he was.
I was going to throw out there to Hamza. Yes, I completely agree. Cornell, he is completely controlled opposition. Yes. I think his sole purpose, which I said in a video a while back ago when I brought up him, Marianne, all of them, is they're all meant to be sheep herders in a sense. What their goal is, what he's supposed to be there to kind of distract from the frustrations with the party. He's not meant to like really funnel you, but his goal is he's just supposed to be a distraction to kind of help you from being pissed off at the direct people. Now that they see that he's not even really being effective at that, nor was Marianne. They're just kind of just drift away into nothing. It's like bubbles you play with in the park. They just float away into the air.
Mm-hmm. You know, and again, Dr. Shiva seems more interested in promoting himself solely. And I understand that he tries to educate people, but when you listen to him, it's a lot of how great I am and why the rest of you should be in awe of how great I am. And all of the things that I run and all of the systems that I understand and all of the things that I can direct you to do. I'm great. The rest of you are really not. And I don't know if you're great enough to be on my team, blah, 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 Zionist cocksucker, blah, 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 blah. I'm great. Did you know I created email? Hey, did you know that the reason why you can pick up your phone and send an email is because of me, Dr. Shiva? Well, yeah, I'm that Dr. Shiva. I'm not the fake Indian like Vivek the Snake, Zionist cocksucker, Vivek the Snake. And I'm Dr. Shiva. I created a whole bunch of shit. You know what I'm saying? And did you know that I created email? And I'm Dr. Shiva, and I'm really good. And the rest of you are below me, but I'm really trying to get you guys to my level. So you need to subscribe to my channel. You need to come to my class, and you need to sit for my sermons because I'm going to be the one to tell you all of this. They're taking all my ideas. I'm the one who created everything. So every idea you ever hear on the left or the alternative left or on the internet really came from me. And they all are just riding me. So therefore, I think you guys should really support me in everything I do. And don't you know I'm like really shadow banned, and I'm like they're really afraid of me. And I'm just like, dog, you gotta chill. Pardon me for my, imitation, but I'm just saying
And it was honest. That's because it's like, dude, your ego. Check that shit, man. You really need to check your ego. Calm it, bring it down like about 2. You're like here at like 80. You need to be down here at like an 8.
Yeah, it's crazy. And again, a lot of the things he says, they do make sense. I'm not saying that all of the information that he provides is incorrect. I'm not saying that. However, it's how he carries himself. It is, you spoke to charisma or lack thereof for Kamala, right? Like this guy he's trying to have charisma, but it's just like, damn, dog, you like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So me personally, I listen to him. I'm like, damn, this guy is very much in the know. He's very much in the know, and he's very capable. But it's his insistence on like hyping himself up to the point of where that's all he's going to tell you about for the first 30 to 40 minutes of any program he does. And he's very repetitive about his accomplishments and the things that he does or has done. And it's like, hat off to you. You did some fly shit that I never did. Congratulations, Mr. Father Email. Thank you. You know what? You created another way for bill collectors to send me some shit. So thanks a lot, bro. I really appreciate that. Now they following me too about some email shit. So, we do appreciate that. But, in all seriousness, that's a cool invention. You and other people came up with that. I'm sure it just wasn't born of your brain and created out of you alone by yourself. It probably took several people to pull that off. So congratulations to you and the team for coming up with that. We waiting for you to tell us about some more dope shit that you could do or what community you building up, because it just seems like you selling cups on the website, bro, to be quite honest. I'm not saying that he is selling cups on the website. It comes like across
bullshit.
Yeah, it's like, yo, sign up to my class. It's first class is free $99, and then after that, it's $24.99, per week.
Mm-hmm.
So I just
shout out again. I'll be on AM Wake Up tomorrow. Looking definitely forward to it. Kicking it with my bros. Haven't been hanging out with Steve in a minute, so that's definitely gonna be a lot of fun. And I see Lady Alex is in the building. Oh, I almost forgot what Lady Alex looked like because she had that avatar for so long that was different than her. I was on one live stream with Lady Alex once. which maybe we probably should try to get her on here sometime soon.
I know,
Says,
Hamza. I'm being sarcastic.
Says,
I know that's your man, Hamza, and I don't mean to. I'm not trying to offend you, Hamza. You know what I'm saying? Because again, the information that Dr. Shiva presents is valuable information. It's just he's better off as a support system guy, guy who is working behind the scenes on the tech side, trying to direct those type of things. As far as like the out front leader of whatever movement, nah, he's not the best spokesperson for that. He lacks certain things that you would need for people in that position would typically have.
So you saying like he needs a puppet so he can ghostwrite for him?
Yeah, he needs a Pusha T or a Saha the Prince, somebody to help him come out sounding more like Kanye, right? Because when those two guys was writing for him, he sounded the best. Well, he got rid of them, and now he just does
Beto O'Rourke and be Beto O'Rourke's avatar.
Oh yeah, or no, you know who he need? Who's that homeboy who was running as a Republican? He said he was Jewish. He said he was
he might be in prison.
Spanish. He said he was white.
He might be in prison soon. So yeah, I think you can use him.
Oh damn!
I know you're talking about. There's a trial. His trial is just starting.
What was his name?
Chubby dude.
Yeah, Spanish dude looking. Santos, George Santos.
Yes, George Santos.
Yeah, I was gonna say he could use a Santos, just some like
George
a
Santos
chameleon
character. That's character. I mean,
oh yeah, for sure. And he did and then Lashley did not Lashley, but I really want to put out the link to that Night Owl video just so people could laugh at it.
Oh, the Night Owl. Okay. At first I was thinking Night Owl, like the character Night Owl. I was like, oh no, he's talking about that Night Owl. No.
Just something to laugh about, man.
Yeah, go on ahead. End us out on a good funny note.
It's what's that comedian's name? I'm gonna look for her. Aunt Hammy. Yo, I saw that video, dog. I was in tears. I don't know if everybody would laugh like I did, but that shit had me.
I don't know if they'll laugh like I laugh either, but I thought that was hilarious too. Says I am just a crosshead. Please with this shit. And definitely a big thanks to you, Lady Alex, for all the work that you're doing out there. We need our revolutionaries. We need our people who are pushing the mutual aid. There are definitely people who need it. And so this is much shout out to the activists out there in general. If you're activists for anything out there, much respect and love to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, because that is much kind of like parenting at times. It's a thankless job, and it just seems like you forever walking up a hill, but it's important work that needs to be done on some level, right? But again, don't forget to while you're giving your life to a cause, don't forget to stop and enjoy life too, right? Because you don't want to be miserable. Oh, speaking of which, shout out and RIP to Fat Man Scoop. Fat Man Scoop, for those who are not familiar, with hip hop or rap, Fat Man Scoop was a popular DJ radio personality / rapper, not really rapper like that, but his voice is big time, especially in the New York tri-state area. But people knew him all over. Once he started getting on songs with like Ciara and Missy, then people heard him. But us in New York and Faith Evans, of course. But we've heard his voice.
The one that everybody outside of New York is going to know him the most for is remember that intro to "You Got Served"? That was him.
Oh yeah, You Got Served as well. Yeah. That's right. So people who saw that, the people who saw that would actually know Scoop's voice as well.
Timberland.
You got a $20 bill? Put your hands up. You got a $50 bill? Make no, all that, man.
That old face.
You know, in my age group, especially, you know, we heard Fat Man Scoop all the time. You know, he used to be on High 97, you know, late nights. And, you know, his show used to be funny. People would call in, talk reckless. He would talk reckless back to them. You know, very entertaining. No, he's moved all around the hip hop entertainment space. But, you know, he was kind of like Snoop in that he just stayed who he was. He never deviated from who he was. So that level of authenticity always brings about a lot of love. And ironically, Fat Man Scoop died on stage behind the DJ booth, yelling out, "Just make some noise" or "make noise." You know, that it was, he actually died doing what he loved. Unfortunately, he was 53 years old. So that feels like he's a little too young to have passed away the way he did. But yeah, WBLS, of course. I was listening to BLS too. But come on, Alex, don't do that to me. I know all them stations. Don't do that. I was there for BLS. Matter of fact, I still listen to BLS at times on my TuneIn Radio app. But back to Scoop, you know, his authenticity always stood out, and you know, he had a great personality.
We need to have a panel of New Yorkers so I could just bring the New York Chris all the way out. So y'all New Yorkers, y'all want to get on and y'all want to reminisce about the old days, hit me up. I would love to nerd out with y'all, even though I didn't experience.
Yeah, Frankie Crocker does. Oh man, yeah. Okay, you know some shit if you said Frankie Crocker. Okay. He was up there if you know that.
That's what she said. Do you see this back here?
To free the Panther 21 protests.
That's what it said. We gotta get Lady Alex on there. It'll be a fun chat. And then
I don't.
Other New Yorkers.
Yeah, you know, it was quite an education. It's an education in the city now. It's you know, it's quite a different type of education. And last thing, Chicago be wilding, dog, and I ain't want to say it, but I've been seeing some videos coming out of the Chi-Town that got it looking like Chirac for Chirac for.
Oh, that music video? Is that the one you're talking about? That was the one you sent me. Jeez Louise.
I sent it to you just so you could just listen to the sheer amount of shots that was going off. That's not normal, kid. That is
earned their name Chirac for real with that.
You didn't, you know, you say watch a video, you know, you expect to see something visual, but with this video, it was really the audio that mattered, because that audio was just really, 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 really telling. And actually, I'm kind of glad they didn't have a video of it. But, you know, again, I hope the rapper and his homeboy on video, I really hope that they're not on probation or any kind of papers like that, because they're on camera pulling out their guns from their waistband. So, you know, if any law enforcement sees that, they're going to be jammed up, and they're going, you know, if they violated parole or probation, they're going to have a hard time based on that video. Maybe the only thing they got in their favor is that it seemed like it was self-defense for the guy shooting the video. Jonina says that's a regular Tuesday in Chicago. I guess for certain parts in the city, it is like that. But, you know, they going nuts. I don't even want no smoke with none of them young boys, dog. They don't know how. There's no talking. And they all got switches on their joints. You know, for anybody who don't know what a switch is, they making these guns automatic. When you hear all that, yeah, they ain't switches on these guns that are automatic, that are regularly don't do that.
Regular semis that they turn out full autos.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. So, you know, just take it easy there. You know, how does one help Chicago? There's a number of things I think you could do.
I don't know, man.
One, you gotta again. It's I bet you a lot of it is based on the drug war.
Oh, of course, yeah. Majority of it is. I mean, I got peeps in Chicago, and that's what it is.
I mean, part of it is the drug war. So
that you have the Mexican cartel who's
Correct.
here now too. So
Every single place where the cartel is, based, they have the most violence in and around those cities. And if you go back through the decades, you see which cities had the most violence. Usually that's where the drug hub, the major drug hubs were. You can think of 80s Miami, for just to give you an idea. Detroit, New Orleans,
LA in the 90s.
Arkansas. Yep. Arkansas, Los Angeles.
I mean,
all those cities that were
KC were pretty bad too for a while. KC was pretty bad too for a while.
Yep. Yes, it was.
Honestly, this is something a lot of people don't realize. If you look at like most violent cities, KC stays in like the top 20.
Damn. I'm sure there's a lot of like transit, a lot of people in and out that city.
Well, a lot of the people with KC a lot of them move back and forth from LA, Bay Area, and out of Texas.
Yeah.
And then you got enough people who come from the Chi also, and that's where a lot of violence come from.
It's
that's always sad too. We talk.
Chris, it is.
We always talk with we always talk with Thomas about.
He said the drug trade, as you describe it, sounds like a eugenics attack. It is in many ways.
It
sure.
Is. I mean, when you go out to the 10,000 foot level, that's exactly what it is, because it's all controlled and engineered by the government.
Yes, and it's the same way you can now look at it for the communities who are now abusing pills, right? You can say the same thing. It's some sort of attack on the lower half of that group.
But yeah, that's all I got, sir. I kept you longer than on it, but we did hit all of our topics that we needed to, and then some.
Tomorrow is Monday. It's a holiday. Everybody, well, hopefully most of you should be off tomorrow. Hopefully you get to enjoy your Sunday. You get to stay up a little bit late on the Sunday, as opposed to just getting ready for work tomorrow. So hopefully for people, hopefully people are getting ready to do something tonight, or they did something earlier today.
Oh, Chris, sorry to interrupt you, but one thing I want to show you. Remember I was telling you the sun is still out? Look at this. Sun is trying to peek in.
Bright as hell.
Yeah. You got to remember, for me, it's only 4 o'clock.
Yeah, and like here it's 7 o'clock, let me just see something real quick. Damn, it is
still raining.
It's still gray outside and it's still raining. So it's they ain't give us much sun today, but there's still some festivities going on in and around the Labor Day holiday. A lot of Caribbean events going on in South Florida, which for me is like that's my speed.
Oh yeah, I'd be with it if I was there. That's one thing I do miss about being on the That's one thing I do miss about being on the East Coast. You don't have as much of that Caribbean feel.
Correct. Yeah,
it's more Central American feel here than anything. So I definitely miss it. Especially that South Florida feel.
He said up by me it's glistening, but the White Walkers in the long night is coming back. Huh. What's up, Liz?
Liz is in the building. Hopefully she's being safe out there.
Yeah, just be careful. Pay attention to the road. Yeah, pay attention to the road. I mean, I think we all wish we had some dragons to oh y'all want to mess with me? Okay, I'm gonna send my dragons over there. That would be kind of fly. All right, so as Marcus says, catch him tomorrow. He'll be on AM Wake Up.
Yeah,
with
right.
the good folks over
Well,
there, and
depending on where you are. So
yep. So that'll be what? That's usually 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. Eastern time.
it'd be 7 a.m. my time.
Yeah, so 7 a.m. Pacific, about 10 a.m. Eastern time. You catch Marcus on AM Wake Up, and then Thursday he'll be on with Sabby. What
And
time is that?
that'll be 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 Mountain Time, 7 Central, and 8
o'clock
Eastern.
Eastern time. Yep. So 5 p.m. West, 5 p.m. Pacific. I'll just go by the East. 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Hell,
And you know, you guys
11 p.m. What is it? UK
what?
time.
Oh yeah, something right for real. Whatever.
It's like 3 hour difference, right? Something like that.
But it's on the internet, so you're always free to catch an episode that you missed of any.
On Savvy's channel, so make sure to check that out.
America needs love, but we see folks next Saturday. Yeah, we're gonna try to come on Saturday. Football is football is upon us. The U took a win yesterday. Shout out to the U. And boys down in Miami beat the Gators. So I don't follow college football.
I'm like, man, I don't know care about the but then I'm like, oh, they beat the Gators. Okay, cool. I don't like the
yeah, I'm not big into college football at all, but I do like the U, so I was glad they beat the Gators. My homeboy who was there, who was he's a big time Gators fan, so he was a little upset.
I lived in Jacksonville watching everybody go from it was kind of a mix. You had some Georgia fans, Florida State, and well, you could say FU, but U of F. And all of a sudden, after Tim Tebow, all of a sudden, like 70% of the people, all of a sudden, are Gator fans now.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
I was there under the Tim Tebow years, and it was just it's nauseating.
Yeah, that's annoying. That's a turn off for real.
But I couldn't mess with Georgia either. So I was like, you know what? Florida State, I'll mess with y'all.
All right, that's what's up. But Chris, typically, no, we're on Saturdays usually. I know a lot of, but then again, a lot of people in this space, they don't, maybe we'll catch some of the hangers on, but most of the people in this space aren't into sports like that. Maybe a handful of people, but I don't think a lot of people are into sports in this space. Some probably view it as a distraction, and it's not important, and you got other things to focus on besides you boys and your sports. But nah, we like sports around here. So it is.
Shut up, yo, Nina. I want to hear that nonsense. Talking about some Go Ravens. We play the Ravens Thursday, right?
Opening day, right?
Of course they're cheating for us. Everybody knows they're cheating.
Oh, because of Taylor?
Yeah, because Taylor and all of the stuff, and we're going to win the Super Bowl because they're cheating for us.
You know what? This would have looked real suspect if Patrick Mahomes wasn't who Patrick Mahomes is. So I don't look at it as any type of agree because of Taylor Swift now. Nah, Patrick Mahomes, if you actually watch that dude play football, son is nice. Like, it's nice. The person I'm trying to get distracted since it's been in politics, you go back to old ways. Yeah, I feel you, Grace. Sometimes you just got to find other interests too. You know what I'm saying? Or you can pay attention to this stuff, but you can't let it consume you, because if you do, you'll just be your disposition will be generally negative, and you won't be fun in any other rooms. You know what I'm saying? And you still want to be able to enjoy the little bit of shit that we have to enjoy while we're here.
That's how we keep the balance on being able to do this show and look at all these crazy ass stories. Because if you only focused on these stories all the time, it'd be enough that you just spend all your time being depressed. And how do you bounce back and have any kind of positivity for anything if you don't take care of that mental health aspect? Or you'd be like some of these channels where you see them, they've been around for a couple of years, and then boom, they're gone. And it's like, all right, it's just too much for me. And so you got to have that balance. And so we mix it up with some of the fool's entertainment. Now we know that it is meant to be a distraction. We know what the purpose of it and all that. But as long as you go into it knowing that yes, these are just distractions, I don't see the harm in it. As long as you're not like these people out there really getting pissed off and punching screens and betting all this money on this shit and really taking this shit seriously, that's when it becomes an issue. But you know,
Fact.
if you grew up watching pro wrestling, then I don't see how you can have too much of an issue with any sports game, sports league stuff. So I mean, that's what I say. Chris H, if you're looking for some distractions, I don't know if you have Peacock or not, but Those About to Die, I just watched all of that. That was really good. What's the other one? Twisted Metal. That show was pretty good. I think there's a couple other ones, but Peacock had some good stuff. There's stuff coming out, so there's stuff to watch if you're looking for it.
Yo, between all these things, for me, it's very difficult to find something to watch. Like I spend more time browsing and then going back to something I've seen 100 times than I actually find something new. Either one, because the description gets me and it turns me off, and or I watch like the trailer or the preview and they show me a little too much and I don't like what I see. So then it kind of, I wish sometimes like things, the part of cable changing the channel and just watching something as it's on right then and there and trying to go back to find more. Sometimes that was a little bit better than always able to know everything about you see when you click it. You know what I mean? But it's not a complaint. I'm just saying, it's just a different way of we view content.
I do the same also. Now I got to hop off and down like I don't know how many substances. I drink like dandelion tea. I got matcha tea that I drink every day. I got my turmeric and all that stuff. Hey, it's tough work when you're trying to get an old body back in shape.
Hell yeah. And it ain't cheap.
No, it is not cheap. Especially when you got bad knees, bad back. I'm like, oh, okay, so what can I take for this? Okay, so these are the turmeric and ginger. Okay, well, this has hyaluronic acid in it. You become a fucking chemist trying to figure out how to put yourself back together. So take care of your bodies out there. Please take care of your bodies. Right. Your health is the one thing that once it goes, you can't get it back.
Nope, there's no repairing that. So yeah, be careful and watch what you eat and all that good shit. And I saw Styles P say something: if you eat death, make sure you eat life, right? So that kind of that made sense. So shout out to Styles P, always dropping jewels.
And get some hobbies out there. Go out there and join a competitive flag frisbee league. I don't know, something. There's stuff out there to do, and it don't matter how old or out of shape some of us feel we are. They got gray beard leagues or gray silver hair leagues and all that. So I know that plenty in our audience are we're getting older, if not gotten a little older. Hey, it's how you stay youthful is you continue to still try to be a kid again and go out there and have some fun. If you got grandkids, whatever, drop the grandkids off. Let's go out there and go play some ball with them out in the yard or something. But
correct.
Keep yourself young. Take care of your health. Ooh, Wesley said, I just had my last 2 teeth pulled. Take care of your teeth. Oh yeah, you don't take care of your teeth. It's a hell of a thing. I just had 2 crowns put in recently, and I got a ton of dental work I have to have done. So
then your teeth are not part of your health, but you should take care of them anyway.
Well, they're not as far as how your insurance works.
No, I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah,
it is part of your health.
But if you got bad teeth, your quality of life goes down drastically, and bad abscesses and things like that can literally lead to your death. So, take care of it all.
Bad and horrible breath that comes along with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Smell like you've been tongue kissing a trash can. I mean, you gotta fix that.
Yeah, big time. Like a New York City trash bag that's been on the street for like 2 days in the summertime. Bad.
That's I feel bad for you, Wesley. I understand how that is. I definitely understand. Not all of them gone, but like on this side, I don't have any what is it?
Molars or
Molars.
damn, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, the dentist can run up, you know, they run up the score on your ass too. You look at that bill and all they suggestions, you like, huh? I need a loan for $32,000.
I be like, well, I guess I gotta get my ass a passport.
Yeah,
That's what you gotta do.
yeah.
That's the only advantage you get as an American is you can fly to another country where it's cheaper than where you are, and they can fix it.
I know people who actually do that as well. It makes sense. It saves dollars and it makes sense.
Or if you're close enough, a car ride.
Yeah.
Because I might be going south of the border pretty soon.
There you go, man. Well, hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Like I said, catch Marcus on. He'll be on 7 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time on the AM Wake Up Show. This is the Political Matrix with the host, Young Morpheus, a.k.a. Marcus Cage, and myself, Cy Lawson. As usual, thank you guys for coming out. You know, hit the button, subscribe, all that good shit that people say at the end of these types of videos. Y'all know the spiel already.
All right. Peace. Y'all be good.
Peace out.